Greetings, family. Welcome to Pan-Africanism towards Nationhood, building a global Black business pipeline. And greetings, family, once again. This is Bomani Tyehimba of Africa for the Africans, Tours and Investments, and I'm here with my good brother, Khalo Genesis, from the Black African Infrastructure Organization and Khalo Genesis Radio. And this is my good brother, John Cassen, and he is also an incredible brother that that's in the energy of what we're talking about. Black people building from America to Africa, Africa to America. This whole world of Pan-Africanism towards nationhood. So we have a very incredible topic for you tonight. And this is the topic, the great debate, building a Black nation in America versus Africa, with John Cassen and Khalo Genesis. So we're gonna do the Afrikstan analysis. We have one video that goes into a bunch of different things that we're gonna debate and analyze. So these are the things that we're here to talk about, family, here to get you connected on another incredible live. So our special guest, we're gonna later on, once I just do a brief introduction, we're gonna get him to introduce himself, and we're gonna just build up from there, and we're gonna talk about this great debate that's in the world of Black people. All right, so maybe I'll meet both of you brothers. So greetings, John, and greetings, Khalo Genesis. How you brothers doing today?
I'm good. Down south.
Yes, my brother. And John, you're a special guest, and thank you for showing up. Thank you for not too much people are willing to get into get into the ring with a Khalo Genesis, a legendary debater, a legendary person in the world of geopolitics, and this Black organization, and this literally this giving us great vision of what we can build in the future. And then the expert on Liberia, someone that I followed. That's where we're building this great journey to Liberia. So these future journeys, I'm always looking for someone to build with. And Khalo Genesis was always the ideal person. There's no one else I know in the world that's more passionate about Liberia, and it's my good brother, and we're working this together, and it's connecting me with a lot of incredible people. So you're looking at energy when you have two dynamic brothers working together. We can pull off and get a whole lot done. I appreciate you, my good brother, Khalo Genesis. In a little bit, you can also just introduce yourself, just like John, and then we're gonna take it from there. So, family, before we continue, let me just share a short, brief information about our upcoming Africa tours, and then share my bio, so you can just get an idea more of the person on this journey towards Pan-Africanism, towards nationhood. All right, so that is our website, africafortheafricans.org. And that's where you find all of our details for all of our upcoming journeys of a lifetime to the African continent. So once you are on the website, you see these beautiful photos that represent 17 years of a journey of a lifetime across the African continent, doing our tours over 30 different journeys. And then you see a nice MP3 player on the left with some nice cultural and soul music. And once you scroll down right there in the middle of the page, or the front of the page, or the front page, you'll see the list of all of the journeys. And on the left side, on the main menu, you'll see all of the list of the journeys that we have. So you can just look through any journeys that's interested to you and just reach out. All of the information is there. This is a well-organized operation. We're coming up on almost 2 decades, and including 19 years of this traveling to the African continent, and this doing research on these energies as far as this tours connecting us. So that is my whole platform of network working right there, all these journeys. So let me just read through the list of journeys that we have. So we just got back from the 23rd Journey of a Lifetime to Ghana, another incredible journey where you see all of the photos and the videos. All of the videos are right here on YouTube, and I'll have a whole lot more to upload. and all the photos on Facebook and Instagram, as we just share our experience across all these popular platforms that our people are all on. So our next journey is Tanzania, Roots and Culture, November 16th to the 27th. So that will be the fourth time we're journeying to Tanzania. Incredible journey, a nice tropical energy in East Africa. Then we're closing out the year and starting the year off in South Africa. So that's December 24th to January 4th. And that will be our second journey of a lifetime. Then we're going to set off the beginning of the year in Liberia. And that's March 29th to the 9th. We have a nice group, and we're looking to build more energy of people who want to journey with us. And then from there, we're going to literally just build energy and do a whole lot of documentation and work with my good brother, Khalo Genesis, so we can build aspects of our future investment operation there in the country and expand and share more opportunities for those who want to live, do business, invest in Liberia. So after that journey, then we have our next Ghana Journey of a Lifetime. This will be the 24th Journey of a Lifetime. This is our Repatriation Investment Tour for July 11th to the 23rd. So we're going to show you more of our updates on our Black Star Pan-African community, our growth, and just keep on just updating you on incredible opportunities as far as living, doing business, and investing in. We're connecting the energy from Liberia to Ghana and looking to this get more of our people connected to where we can work in a strong network and build something incredible for the future. Because we're realizing that we just need to have more of a direct connection on the African continent where we can just make more of certain moves and work more with our people. So that's the goal right there. And then as we go into the fall of 2024, we have our Egypt Roots and Culture Journey of a Lifetime. This will be our first journey of a lifetime to Egypt as far as this journey, and my second time traveling to Egypt. And this is the 20th anniversary of this traveling to Africa in general, and 20 years since we have been to Egypt. So this is our newest journey, and we have an expert that we're working with, one of my good sisters that have built a business there in Egypt, that have traveled with me and been part of the energy of one of our Ghana journeys. So that's who we're working with, our good sister Michelle, on a mission, and we're going to just keep on building strong. We have a nice group ready to go, and we're just going to keep on building. And we're going to close the year out in South Africa, and this will be our third journey of a lifetime, and that's set for December 24th to January 4th. And that is another just a great country to travel with. And if you see the price that looks a little high, that's because December prices are ridiculous. So everything is calculated. And then we're going to start off the year in 2025 for our Senegal and Gambia Roots and Culture Journey, and that's April 1st to the 11th. April. Excuse me here. That's April 1st to the 11th of 2025. It's like we're in 2023, but these are literally the schedules. Put schedules out ahead of time so you can plan accordingly and be prepared. And then below that, that's land for sale at our Black Star Pan-African community, whether it's on the 15 acres or 60 acres. And that's the future of our community development, to build a nice energy into a town where we can just be a part of the future and work with our people there in the town. So that's looking to just make that headquarters for our technology and business enterprise and all the things that we do. So that's our future operation that we're just investing in and just working it. So that's the list of our journeys. And then once you scroll down, you'll see a list of all of the links and updates. And then you see a list of all of the journeys I talk about for the last 17 years in group photos. And next thing I want to show you is about us. And about us is about Africa for the Africans mission and vision, our press release for Africa tours and investment, and also Bomani Tamba biography. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let the screen shows my bio information, and then I'm gonna play an audio that just talk in general about our journey into our journey into the world of Pan-Africanism and building the energy towards nationhood. Hey, this is my bio. I just want to read some information about myself and this. For those who don't know me, this share the path and our vision towards Pan-Africanism and then towards nationhood.
Today, we delve into the journey of a man who dared to dream, dared to venture, and dared to invest in the vast and vibrant continent. Meet Bomani Tyehimba, the driving force behind Africa for the Africans Tours and Investments. Picture this: a young boy born in Kingston, Jamaica, and raised in the bustling boroughs of New York City. Despite the concrete jungle, Bomani was always drawn to the rich heritage of his ancestors, the pulsating rhythm of Africa. His curiosity sparked a passion that would lead him to establish Africa for the Africans Tours and Investments. Bomani's journey wasn't a straight path, nor was it an easy one. He faced numerous challenges, both personal and professional. Yet, his unwavering resolve and staunch belief in the potential of Africa saw him through. He understood that Africa was not just a destination. It was an opportunity, a chance to build, grow, and contribute to the continent's ever-evolving narrative. Africa for the Africans Tours and Investments was born out of Bomani's desire to bridge the gap between Africa and the African Diaspora. He wanted to create a platform that would enable people of African descent to explore their roots, understand their heritage, and most importantly, invest in their ancestral land. Through his organization, Bomani has been able to facilitate a variety of investment opportunities in Africa. From real estate to agriculture, from technology to tourism, Bomani has strived to showcase the vast potential that lies within the continent. He believes in the power of investment, not just as a means to generate wealth, but as a tool for sustainable development and economic empowerment. Bomani's work transcends the realm of business. He is a cultural ambassador, a bridge between continents, a beacon of hope for those seeking to reconnect with their roots. His tours are not just about sightseeing, they are journeys of discovery, of understanding, of connection. So what can we glean from Bomani Tyehimba's journey? First, passion is a powerful driver. It was Bomani's passion for Africa that led him to establish his organization. Second, investment is not just about money. It's about contributing to the growth and development of a community, a country, a continent. And lastly, connecting with one's roots can be a transformative experience, one that can inspire, empower, and ignite a sense of belonging. In the end, Bomani Tyehimba's story is a testament to the power of passion, perseverance, and purpose. It's a story about dreaming big, taking risks, and making a difference. It's a story that reminds us that investing in Africa is not just about financial gain. It's about cultural enrichment, economic empowerment, and sustainable development. To sum up, Bomani Tyehimba's journey is a shining example of how one man's passion can create a ripple effect, impacting not just his life, but the lives of countless others. Through Africa for the Africans Tours and Investments, Bomani has been able to connect people with their roots, facilitate investment opportunities, and contribute to the growth and development of Africa.
Yes, brother. Appreciate you for listening, family. But that is my introduction, family, and my journey. And it's been a long journey, and we're just going to keep on building. So I'm here with my good brothers, and we're going to get into some important conversation. Yeah. And the topic is the great debate, building a Black nation in America versus Africa. So that's what we're talking about. So my good brother, Khalo Genesis, how you feeling? Would you like to go first and introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah, I really wanted to hear that video you was talking about.
Yeah, just introduce yourself in general, and then I'll play the video. Then I just want John to introduce himself, and
I want to
say
get
a few things, and then we'll play the video.
Right, I do believe Black America is a captive nation inside of America, and that will never go. The Black nation, the soul of Black America, should have a nation. Right, it does not mean that every Black person in America needs to leave America and everything. But I do believe the soul, that means its ideals, should have vested land, territory to manufacture, to manifest itself in the idea of a republic or a nation state on their ancestral homeland. I believe that anybody who basically stands in that path is to me my enemy. You know, I know that's the end game. I believe in Pan-Africanism. I believe in unity. I believe in all peace, love, and happiness. Kumbaya. I'll do all the stuff like that. I'll play any game anybody want me to play. But the whole idea of you can keep a group of people who have never gotten justice for slavery, brought in captivity, and tell them that for eternal time, they'll never know what it's like to rule themselves or have self-determination or basically be able to defend themselves or be able to define themselves and to be able to decide who lives among them, who does not, you know, they can't define themselves like every other group or culture does around the world. I defy anybody to tell me I'm wrong on that. So, you know, in other words, basically you keeping the black people in America in perpetual slavery, you know? And so the problem is, in my opinion, is a lot of people in the so-called Pan-African world, I call Painos, Pan-African in name only, right? Want to use Black America for their own gains. Oh, come to Ghana, spend your money. Come here, do this like that. And we're not gaining anything. Our geopolitical position has not changed or strengthened in all the years we've been talking about Pan-Africanism. And me and my colleagues, and everybody came up with the idea that ultimately we need our own nation state. We need an Afrikstan. And that's what we've been building on to be. Everything we do is for the end goal, whether it's promoting tourism, whether it's promoting investments, the bullion bank, or whatever like that. All that basically building infrastructure and everything is to make sure that one day, probably won't be in our lifetime, that reality happens, you know, and we become a free people, you know. Yo. And our good friend Knowledge Seeker, you're muted.
Yeah, the trolls are always always coming.
Yeah.
Yes, Khalo, continue. And let me know if you.
Oh, that's all I have to say. That's the premise of what I believe in. You know, nothing more, nothing less. That's the premise of what I believe in. Everything else, I believe in was LARP. LARP is an acronym, means was logical, achievable, reasonable, and practical. I know Black people just going to Africa like the overnight is not logical, achievable, reasonable, practical. It needs a coordinated effort, right? A real organized effort on both sides of the Atlantic to make this happen. And it also needs real statesmanship and real diplomacy, right? If Africa, like, other than that, then we have to use our leverage to say if that's not our end goal and desire, then we have absolutely no strength, no skin in the game in Africa. It's the difference between being interested in Africa and following politics and gossip, which I see a lot of people do, and saying, what's our stake in Africa? Like I'll tell O'Shea Jackson, we have to have a stake on the continent, you know? Do we build towns? Do we build cities? Do we build communities? You know, how do we protect those things, right? When things go left? Do we have a military? Do we have a right to protect ourselves? Do we have the right to move beyond America and all these European powers and everything like that and build a nation? And I settled on Liberia because we proved to the world that we were able to do this 200 years ago. And I know that with everything we have, with the technology and the brain power we have, but we just don't have the mindset anymore. You know, 2 million people, Marcus Garvey orbiting like 6 million Black people worldwide without a cell phone, without internet, without any of that. Why? What was the reason? The passion and the drive of the truth of what he was saying is what galvanized 6 million people. Now you can't even get 600 people to do anything because the mindset is gone. So this is what we're talking about tonight.
Appreciate energy, Khalo Genesis, and if you can just close out with talking about what we're looking at here.
Okay, this is a social network. The Black African, it's like our own Facebook. Like I said, people don't understand. You need a place to house these ideologies, you know, these ideas, you know. And there's tons of blogs, there's tons of videos in this thing. There's tons of people that you can connect with, friend request with, all over the African continent, all over the Black world. I would say about a good 60% of the members are people from the continent. People are Pan-Africanists. People live in South Africa, Zambia, Kenya, Liberia, all over the place. That if people are serious, they can connect with and build with. You know, people who are serious about what we're talking about as far as like building infrastructure and changing the whole trajectory of Africa. I do believe the BAIO has a lot to do with the revolution that we see now. As far as that, it's not the same old anymore. People discussion among Black people is talk about infrastructure. They talk about education. They talk about business. They talk about international trade. They talk about stuff that they never talked about before. 40 years ago, what did everybody talk about? Marxism, socialism, communism. They'll talk about reparations and all stuff like this. But nobody ever talked about building infrastructure and building nations and government and all stuff like this. Taking the responsibility of adults, like the Asians did during the Bandung conference, right? So what I'm saying, the BAIO is sort of like our own Bandung conference. How do we basically build the infrastructure, the global infrastructure of Black people to come together under a thing? First of all, we can't do it from America because we don't control the laws here. But we can basically build in certain African countries because they have the laws. They can create policies and laws and rules on our side, So this is what I'm saying. And what we do is in America, we urge people through sister city projects, what institutions that we have, connect with these things. It's all about building trade, building education and all stuff like this. And I can't do it alone. I just put it out there and hope that people would join, and people have been connecting together and everything like that, but they get sidestepped and get into la land and everything like that. If we basically started and stayed with the BAIO and what the BAIO stood for, we'd be much further.
Yes, Khalo Genesis. Appreciate your energy, brother. So, John Cassen, can you introduce yourself, brother, and tell us about a lot about yourself and all the wonderful things you've been doing back from America to Africa, and then share some of your perspective as far as how you see things as far as building a nation in America or Africa, things like that. You can just give us a nice introduction.
About me or my family or just me or
about
what
you
my
and
family's been doing all for 150 years or just me? What do you want?
I'm talking about yourself. Introduce yourself to us and the things you're involved in, what you're doing.
If I introduce myself, I'd have to introduce my parents too, so you know what I'm coming from.
Oh, it's all good, brother. Absolutely. You have time. Just like Khalo Genesis, just introduce himself.
Okay, this is a 2-hour show, right?
And talk about your philosophy. You can give a good 10 minutes introduction.
10 minutes.
We can go longer than 2 hours. Depends on the flow.
Okay. I kind of want to time myself so I don't break any rules, if that's okay.
No, we're not formal like that,
Okay, it's 10:40 my time here. Okay, my name is John Cashin, born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama, Madison County, from Brandontown, which is a village, if you want to call it, since probably late 1700s of Chickasaw Kingdom members, Cherokee Nation members, and Blacks who stayed away from the colonists until John Hunt came as a squatter from a county in North Tennessee on the Kentucky border. And the town ended up being named after him, even though he was a squatter. And then he was moved over from his squatting position by the first governor and his brother, Governor Bibb, in Huntsville. And they had a constitutional convention in 1819 after the territory of Mississippi was created out of a predecessor piece of land that was carved out in 1805 and 1806 in a treaty, which took one with the Chickasaw Kingdom and one with the Cherokee Nation, with people who didn't have the right to sign those treaties sign it, and everybody who signed the treaty was dead within 5 years of 1805 and 1806. That's where my lineage is turned from or derives from on this side of the water. My great-grandfather was Herschel Vivian Cashin, who served in the Alabama State Legislature as a radical Black Republican during the Reconstruction period of 1874 to 1878. He He was the third black lawmaker in the history of the state of Alabama. He became head of the lands office, receiver of the lands office in Huntsville, Alabama in the 1800s, and he wrote the definitive book, Under Fire, with the 10th U.S. Cavalry, the Buffalo Soldiers who had just come back from San Juan Hill in that victory and camped at Calvary Hill in Huntsville, Alabama, next to Calvary Hill School. And if you look at my Facebook page, I'm standing at the statue commemorating them, and my father's name is on the plaque on the east side of it. It was on the north side, but they decided to switch it because it was so obvious he was the brainchild of putting it there. My lineage of the Cashins goes back, let's say, academically to Fisk University since the 1800s. The oldest building on the Fisk University campus has a plaque on it dedicated to Minnie Brewster Cashin, who taught fine arts and the Jubilee Singers for 35 years. My parents attended Fisk. My grandfather and grandmother on the Cashin side attended Fisk, and Meharry. My grandfather, John Cashin Sr., John Logan Cashin Sr., attended Fisk undergrad, players Omega Psi Phi, and also graduated from Meharry in dentistry. My father followed up by pledging Omega Psi Phi at Fisk, and also graduated first in his dental class from Meharry in the early 1950s. Went into the Army, was chief of dental services in Fontainebleau, France. Then came back, decided we got to have a change. 1957, moved back and with my mother, had me in 1959. He ran for mayor in 1963 when they allowed blacks in Alabama to be able to vote for the first time, even though the Voting Rights Act hadn't passed to allow us to vote in state elections. But in city elections in 1963, which happens to be the same year that we led an integration into the white state school system, everybody who was supposed, all the children but one were personal friends of mine that integrated a week ago, 60 years ago, actually, September 9th, 1963, which led to my father running for mayor of Huntsville in 1963, knowing he's not going to win, but if we don't have nothing to vote for, why go vote? So 5 years later, well, I should say 3 years later, my father founded the National Democratic Party of Alabama, which had to go to Supreme Court 5 times to get on the ballot. And eventually, 94 candidates were whittled down to 17 in 3 counties. And Greene County, with the county seat of Utah, is where we then took over all the county seats, except tax collector and tax collector in the first 2 rounds. We had to go to Supreme Court, and you can look it up. Hadnot versus Amos. Shirley Hadnot was a candidate for a county office, and Shirley Amos was the Secretary of State. And I had to go all the way to Supreme Court. Luckily, it got there after Thurgood Marshall was appointed in 1967. It was filed in October of 1968. They held it off. We even had electors on the ballot for president and vice president in the 68 election, where George Wallace ran for president of the United States under the American Independent Party banner, and also the Rooster Party of Alabama, separate from the American Independent Party. He had 10 electors on the Rooster Party, which I call as the Rooster Dixiecrat Party, which had a symbol that said it was for the white, but they were forced to change it to for the right, R-I-G-H-T versus W-H-I-T-E. 2 years later, my father ran for governor against that racist Wallace at the time, heading the ticket of the NDPA. He did not run a Cashin for governor campaign. It was NDPA as a team, which was predominantly black. We also had whites, Jews, and others, hippies mostly, anti-Vietnam people, etc. in that campaign. It lasted 10 years. We won over 100 races across the state. That's the family I'm from. Without mentioning my father's My mother's father, who plays Omega Psi-Phi at Lincoln University and went to school with Thurgood, both at Lincoln and at Howard. Dr. Marcus Carpenter. He graduated from Howard with a medical degree, while Thurgood was studying law. Okay, so that's my family. Me, I was born 59, as I mentioned. I integrated 2 elementary schools, one at University Place near the Lydia Drive, Brandontown House, and the other one closer to downtown Blossomwood. Me and my brother integrated that one in 1965. I should say 66 also. So my father also did business with a notorious man, according to the white folks, Elijah Muhammad, founder of Nation of Islam. He was the only non-Muslim to engage in economic activities with him. My father's against organized religion, but he said this is a black thing. That started immediately. We won that election, taking over, well, first, we elected the first black probate judge in the history of the United States. And then the 4th elected black sheriff, Sheriff Gilmore, age 27, man without a gun, though my father did give him a .44 Magnum. Anyway, he also convened the Southern Black Caucus in Mobile, Alabama in 1971 of all the black officials in the whole United States of America. 4 congressmen were there, including Andrew Young, our golden lady from Brooklyn, Shirley Chisholm. Are we still live? And,
absolutely, brother. Just we're listening to you, and then you can.
Okay,
you can
and John Conyers and Dellums of California were present. That led to the involvement of what we have now called the Congressional Black Caucus. But that was the first time that black elected officials were called together into one convention in Mobile, Alabama, 1971. I remember licking the stamps and typing the labels at my young age of 12 years old, and several people from all over the United States calling in to be present at age 12. Also, the one-year assassination of anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination, April 4th, 1969, I was present in the march that my father and others made sure that we kept King's dream alive. 1969. I have a photo of that. Me, myself, after high school, went on to, I don't know why I'm saying all this, but University of Alabama, Texas Southern with a master's in constitutional history is what I wanted, but they didn't have the accreditation to give it. So my thesis was approved by a black man who had a PhD from USC. I should just go on and make it a full book. But anyway, being distraught with, well, I also, ran for office or tried to get on the ballot for office against my father's friend, Mickey Leland, for U.S. Congress in Houston, Texas. I ran for city council as an undergraduate student at large in the city elections 2 years, 83 and 85. I went to Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean and lived there in 1987 before moving back to Miami and then moving on to Lagos, Nigeria, which means lakes or lagoons, black area. Nigeria is a Latin word. Niger means black. Nigeria means black area in English. And all about the history there. The first time I'd heard about Nigeria was during the Biafran War in 4th grade. When I said, Dad, what is this? They're showing me this in humanities or whatever, the first kind of international social newspaper, that scholastic newspaper that 4th graders were allowed to read in that white school system after Black History Month, and there was a war going on, the Biafran War. That's the first time I heard about Nigeria and Biafra. I've been studying it ever since. A bunch of Nigerians came to Alabama A&M University in the early 70s. And I first met Nigerians and other Africans on the campus during Upward Bound in the summer of 74. Some of them are still my friends till this day, at least one, Adelebu Adeleken, who graduated there in an agric economics degree. He now is a preacher in Lagos, of all places. Saw him 2 or 3 times, 40 years later in Nigeria, where we kept in touch. But anyway, I spent 32 years on the continent. First trip, Nairobi, Kenya, then Douala, Cameroon, and then Lagos. And then, well, I should say Nigeria, because the next day, after arriving Christmas Day, 1988, I was in the Igbo village, south of Enugu, then Anambra State, Ozala, Chuk's compound, with a friend I had met at Alabama A&M and in Houston, Texas, again. So I guess I'm down for the cause. That's my experience. Did every kind of hustle you can imagine legally in Nigeria while I was there. I just got back a year ago. I'm back in North Alabama. That's what we call it, Brandontown, where I've been voting from since I was 18 is my official address. Lydia, Brandon Drive in Brandontown subdivision, where Huntsville came and took around, absorbed it against our will, of course, but we were a small populated village. That's my introduction to me, friends.
Yes, John, appreciate the introduction and appreciate the full experience of an incredible life that you have lived, and especially this to the path where you just end up in Africa for 32 years. And then, later on we can talk about all the great things that you have done in the country, and then just any advice that you have for the rest of us that are looking to live, do business, and invest in Africa.
I forgot to mention, I know the Mystic family of Turks and Caicos. The last time I was there in 2012 or 2011, I was hosted by who is now the chief premier, Charles Washington Mystic. They traced their lineage back to actually South Carolina. But he is now, minus the British, would be like the head of state of the Turks and Caicos Islands, which has a underpinning of wanting to go independent. They're British Crown land. King Charles III is the head of state, and he has appointed a governor to it. But it will be close to what Barbados decided to do in the not too far future, hopefully. Let me add that to the equation. Let's go. I
appreciate you, brother. And then you also mentioned about your beginner roots as far as being more on the Native American side, because people, sometimes you have these situations where people, and I'm sure there's people who have, they have the DNA, they have the connection, and they can say that they're Native, and you explain a few generations of your family and connected it to this point. So you'll be able to just really just share with us, because there's a big thing going on that we were here.
I forgot to mention one more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Everybody's aware of the Pan-African Congress, which a Fiskite was a co-convener and secretary of in 1900. Though the Padmores and the others existed, and of course the American Colonization Society that colonized what's now the nation of Liberia since 1847.
But before you go further,
W.E.B. Du Bois was a Fiskite before he was a Harvardite. And he's buried in, everybody knows he's buried in Accra, Ghana. So he took a position against Garvey originally and ended up doing exactly what Garvey said we should be trying to do. He died there at age 95. But he's a Fiskite, which my parents are and grandparents are. In 1974, a lot of people don't know, there was a Pan-African Congress, the 7th one. My father put the first $10,000 down for that to happen. Nigeria put the next $50,000 down for the preliminary meetings of it, which led to the one that was in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So that's my first family Pan-African connection. I actually took a medal photo in my high school annual and my University of Alabama annual with the Pan-African medal around my neck that were issued to the original sponsors of that Pan-African conference, which they leave out of history, but it did happen in Dar es Salaam. Now, I'm ready for whatever we're going to discuss.
Absolutely, brother. So appreciate all the history and all of the connections and all the things that you've been a part of. Very powerful. So, you're someone that's well experienced, and that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to share information to educate us as a people, so we can just empower ourselves and just be more a stronger energy of building from America to Africa, Africa to America, and this building that global Black business pipeline that we talk about at the beginning. So, Khalo, my good brother, I want to find out from you, do you have any questions for John Cassen? And then
I heard this all before. Trust me, I know. John.
Let me just finish up real quick. I was just saying, just want to make sure that any question you have for him, you can just reach out to him, and then John Cassen, vice versa. And then what I can do after that, we can play the video.
Yeah, you can play the video because, like I said, I already know. I know John. I know all his credentials, what he was involved with, and stuff like that for years. So there's no questions at this time.
All right, perfect. What about you, John?
Questions what, to Khalo?
Yes, Khalo introduced himself, and anything from his introduction that you have any questions about.
Yeah, he's picked out Liberia now as the nation that we should work from. Is that correct, Khalo?
Yeah, in my opinion, right? Like I said, this is just my opinion. It's not fact, right? In my opinion, right? When I look at Liberia, like I said, I've been there, and I've been working with Liberians for almost 30 years. Everything. It was not always my first choice, okay? But after going there and the incredible people and the team that I was able to build on the ground, and the chapter that I have there, they're the most energetic group of people I've seen in the Black world. There's so many Liberians that I have connected with in America, right? And they're the ones steering me. They're the ones encouraging me, I got Liberians of all different types of background, everything. And they always tell me, Khalo, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. He goes, and Liberia is the only country in Africa where Black people from the United States, right, do not have to be citizens, don't have to be anything, can go there, connect, open business, do whatever they want to do, own land, own property, whatever like that, and connect. And you're very welcome there. And the culture is so similar to Black America, right? The culture is basically a mixture of African culture and Southern African American culture. So you have that sort of soft ease into Africa. I think African Americans need, as far as like this. Now, once Liberia is secured like it's supposed to be, and all I'm doing is continuing what our ancestors started. African Americans, Black people from the Caribbean, everything, building in Liberia, right? And then launching into the rest of the continent, from a position of power. That's my goal, and that's what I'm working on right now. And like I said, my mistake was trying to go to a country like Angola first, right? Where the language and everything is completely different, and the distance and everything, before I went to Liberia. Then when I went to Liberia, I said, this place is perfect. My goal now is to complete building our building that we have, our offices, and get the chapter going and get the business going, the corporation, everything done and everything. So therefore I can facilitate tourism, investment. So I got plenty of Liberians with land. They got diamond mines, got gold mines, got everything, in our group. People got hundreds of acres of land, people doing business and everything. And I'm following the Liberian model, right? Liberians live in America, right? They work for the post office, they work for a police department, everything. They go to Liberia like twice a year, right? They invest their money, they go to Liberia back and forth, right? And they tell me that's what Black people in America should do. Don't try to just quit America, just go to Africa and live. So a lot of Liberians are building their house and taking their U.S. dollars, and it stretches so far in Liberia, building houses, building farms. We got dozens of Liberians that have farms. They got restaurants. They do them everything from manufacturing, everything. And they have family members and people that they know, they trust on the ground, operating a business for them. For instance, our brother, Great African, he's the first person I've seen so far, after years of doing this, that actually has operations in Africa, while him and his family lives in Wisconsin, and his money is actually working. He's generating money, and he's employing people on the ground. So he's definitely somebody that I'm connected with. And he's also connected with the UNIA and all this other stuff like this. So we have a lot of opportunity. And so everything, what I'm saying about Liberia was, when I go to Liberia, I don't need a regular visa because I could get a diplomatic visa. I could get anything I want in Liberia because I'm connected with so many different people high up.
Can you get us passports?
No.
Why not?
No, because I'm against people getting passports, because I believe when you get a passport, you should be able to contribute financially to the country and live there full time. I don't believe a passport is something that you just hold and everything. Not for other African countries, yeah, but Liberia, I think you should have that commitment to living in Liberia. Because first of all, with a U.S. passport, right? Like, let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? And we talked about this before. In Liberia, when you're black from America, right? And you got a U.S. passport, and I talked to a lot of Liberians from America and everything. There's an uneasy tension between the black, but not just African Americans. There's also Liberians that live in America, right? And you got a lot of Liberians that were born in America, had never been in Liberia before. They go to Liberia and they got a certain privilege, right? Now, the only thing, the last time I was in Liberia, right, I was working with the voter registration drive and stuff like that. And I was basically working with Dr. Kula, and I went to different precincts, watching them doing the biometrics voting, stuff like that. Liberians and Africans take their politics very, very seriously. And it's a very, very controversial, because that's the only thing they really have in this world is that vote, right? And I'm saying to myself, right, why would I want to basically make myself equal that when I don't have to bear that responsibility? They're going to have to deal with the consequences of whatever, good or bad, that they're going to basically deal with an election. And so therefore it's not fair to me that I got the same privilege as a Liberian who makes $1 a day and everything. I'm coming there with my American privilege and everything, talking about I'm a citizen just like you are. No, I'm like that. No, I'm Black America, right? I probably have more privilege than you just having a U.S. passport. So when you have a U.S. a passport, a Liberian passport, that diminishes that passport to the average Liberian. And that's my opinion on that. And I tell a lot of Liberians, they don't see it that way. Some of them agree with what I'm talking about, right? But I'm saying like this, I'm just trying to foreshore, because I know the Liberian mentality. If Black people in America basically go there and they got this, I'm a Liberian like you are and whatnot, and you're not contributing to the country, and you don't have the same issues, and it's going to cause a friction and problem. And the situation right now is that they welcome us right now. They welcome us. You can do anything you want in Liberia with that U.S. passport, being Black. I mean, you have more privilege than the average Liberian, just with a U.S. passport, because they want Black people from America coming there. They want more Liberians who are born in America coming back home. So I don't think the Liberian passport is necessary if you got a U.S. passport. Now, if you want to live there and you say, forget America, I'm done with America, and I want to live here the rest of my life. I know a couple of people, Black people in America, has done that. But then again, if you give your citizenship,
so do I.
Huh? If you
I
give
know
your
some too. Go ahead.
Social Security, you give your Medicare, you give up all the stuff that you have, and then used to Liberia.
Who said to give up anything, Khalo?
Well, I don't believe in dual citizenship. I
that's
personally,
you personally, but as far as the law is concerned, we're allowed to have the two. Am I correct?
I personally, well, it's a personal thing, because right now
I'm not talking about your personal choice. I'm talking about the fact is, as I recall, legally, you're required to have 1 year residence now Any Negro from anywhere on the planet can go get a Liberian passport, but it requires 1 year residence.
It is. You
Am I correct?
Like the way
Am I
Liberia.
correct?
Well, let me correct.
I'm talking about the law, not your opinion.
No. Let me tell you what the law is. Right. The way the Liberian Constitution works is right. There is no such thing in the Liberian Constitution that identifies a Liberian. There's no such people, right, as Liberian. In the 1970s, right, what happened was in the 1970s, there was an influx of people from Ghana, people from Ivory Coast, and there's people from surrounding areas, when that Lebanon and everything that lived there, right? And they don't have status in the country, right? Because they were considered Liberians just by being Black. And so in the 1970s, they passed a naturalization law that makes it seem like a Liberian is somebody. So basically, that's still being contested right now. You know, can you deny a Black person citizenship, right?
They can deny whites.
No.
The law says no whites.
In the 70s, they changed it to include other Black people. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what we're dealing with right now in Liberia, right?
They use the name Negro.
Yeah, but the Liberians of today don't think like that. You talking about the indigenous population.
I'm not talking about how they think. I'm talking about the law. I'm not.
Well,
I don't want
what I'm
any
saying
opinions.
is the law.
Tell me what the law says, Khalo.
The law in the 1970s, right?
I'm talking about now.
Yeah, I'm telling you about now. Now the whole thing is this: they want to get back to that Article 27 of the Constitution, right? But the thing is, though, they get international pressure from groups who are trying to say the Lebanese are saying, and the Liberians only thing saying the only thing protecting them from giving the Lebanese citizenship, right? Because they can't come out and say you can't be a citizen because you're Black, you know, because that'll be a violation of international law.
You can't, or you can be. What did you just say?
No, you cannot do that because you incur sanctions and some scorn, and people are calling Liberia a racist country, right? So the thing is, how they get around with giving the Lebanese is the Lebanese have their Lebanese citizen passport. The Liberians said, okay, you could become a citizen, Mr. Lebanese, right? But you have to give up your Lebanese passport, and no Lebanese Indians or nobody want to do that. So in the process,
I'm not talking about the Lebanese. I'm talking about what you consider
what I'm
to be
saying
Blacks from the United States of America.
Color.
What?
The way the law in Liberia right now, right, is like when you go, we understand the Constitution of Liberia, right? But when it really comes down to it, right, you don't have a situation where you could say, okay, if they say you got to have you can't have dual citizenship, right? They tell Lebanese
that's not the case, though.
That is the case
for Blacks from the Americas.
You know who's hurt by this? Liberians right
just
now.
Tell me, can Blacks in the Americas go there and get a Liberian passport after 1 year residency?
You can get residency, yes.
No. After 1 year of residency there, you're entitled to a Liberian passport. That's my understanding of the law.
Yes, a passport means you're a citizen of the Republic. Residency
of Liberia.
Yes.
After 1 year of residency, if you're from Jamaica,
or
United States or Canada,
or
Mexico, and you're Black, you're a Negro.
This is how it works, right? There's a lot of Liberians who are in America, right? Who don't want to give up.
Someone just cited it's a 2 year residency. I don't know if it's true, but since you're dealing with Liberia, tell us simple.
Well, let me put it to you like this: in the United States, there are so many Liberians, right, who have
That's
U.S.
That's not what I've asked you, Khalo.
No. You're asking me about this. How is it that you're going to jump above?
I'm not asking about your opinion. What does the law say? That's all I've asked you.
How are you going to jump in front of Liberians? There's like tens of thousands, right? Who are in America?
We're not talking about jumping. What does the law say?
Okay, what it really comes down to in Liberia, it's about voting. Do you really think that whatever they give you, right, you can go and vote and contest whole public office?
That's not what I've asked you.
Yeah, what you
said. Tell us what the laws are. What
do you understand, John? What a citizen is? A citizen means, Jason. A citizen basically means that you have the right to hold public office, land, all the rights and privileges of the citizen of the republic.
I know that.
All right.
What
so the
is
bottom
the
line is a lot of
requirement to acquire the
Liberians can't vote in their own
passport?
country. That live in America can't vote in their own country.
I'm not asking you all of that. Very simple, Kala. If I get on a plane and go to Liberia, how much residency do I have to get my Liberian passport?
You have to get it from the embassy, Liberian embassy first.
I know that. I know everybody has to go to
So you
Liberian
said
embassy
from
first.
plane, go to Liberia. I wouldn't suggest that.
Whatever. What does the law say? That's all I've asked you,
Well,
sir.
I'm telling you right now, the law says, right? Like me, last time I was in
Yes.
Liberia, I got 90 days. I got a 90-day visa, right? Because I came there as a business person, a 90-day visa to stay there for 90 days, right? And after 90 days, I had to go back. You know,
That's not what I've asked you, though.
You know, the bottom line is this: if you basically renounce your U.S. citizenship, right, and you want to become a Liberian and whatnot, and swore the oath and everything like that, I don't know what the process is, but that's exactly what you have to do.
Okay, then you need to find out what the process is to tell your brothers and sisters about going and investing and settling.
Well, I tell them
you need to know and tell us all.
Well,
and
you know,
post it
that's
on your
why I
website.
started the conversation when I said I follow what the Liberians in America are doing. A lot of them are U.S. citizens, right?
I'm not talking about them, Kala. I'm talking about us.
I'm creating a model for success, and they're having success.
Great for you. But all of us, whether we know you or not, Kala, what's the requirement? I'm hearing it's 2 years. It used to be 1. And even the Liberians in the offices of the embassy in Abuja will say, we don't really know. You should already know. Let us call somebody in Monrovia and we'll get back to you on that. Okay, that's what they would give me the dodge. Okay.
Right now, they have what we call also what it complicates things is the ECOWAS passport. You know, and there was a lot of Nigerians.
I have one of those. Expired.
Okay, but the thing is, that's like the weakest passport in the world. Right now, last year there was a bunch of Nigerians. There was a lot of Nigerians
what you want to do, Kala.
had Liberian ECOWAS passports and ended up in Australia and everything, doing all kind of fairy stuff and making Liberia look bad because they had a Liberian ECOWAS passport. So Liberia's cracking down on this passport situation. Liberia's not a banana republic, despite what people think it is.
Fine. Please do your research, Kala.
Well, I do my research. I deal with it every day.
All right, tell us what the law requires for residency for a Black American to acquire a Liberian passport.
What you have to do is you have to go find some Black people. Like I said, I know I have a couple of people that live in Liberia and stuff like that. You know, with a U.S. citizenship, whatnot. You know, they got a residency and everything, whatever paperwork they have to sign. They didn't change their nationality or anything like that. U.S. thing like that.
They don't have to. You're correct. Dual citizenship is allowed.
They don't have to. But a residency and a citizen. Well, let's talk about what we talk about when you talk about a citizen. You know,
yes, a passport, a Liberian passport.
You're a citizen.
It's a very straightforward question. What does it take?
If you live in the
Americas,
right? If you're a U.S. citizen, right? You have a Social Security number,
or Jamaican, or a Cuban, or Panamanian, or Canadian Black. Yes, continue.
Well, you're asking me a question about. Something that
all of us Negroes in the Americas, the Brazilians, all of them, the Guyanans.
The whole thing is like this: if you really want to go to Liberia, if you really want to settle there, right, and everything like that, you want residency. And everything.
I said passport.
Like I said, you keep talking about passport, right?
Correct.
You keep talking about passport, right?
That's all I've asked you. Nothing else.
I cannot help you on that. You guys, I cannot help you.
I didn't ask you to help. I asked you to tell me what.
No, I'm saying when you talk about passport, you talk about a country's sovereignty.
Yes, we are.
So in other words, basically, you think they're just going to give you a passport to that country and everything like that, so you can go do whatever you want to do?
I asked you what the requirement is.
Well, I'm telling you right now,
a Liberian passport.
If you want a passport to a Liberia, you're real serious about that, you have to swear allegiance or oath to Liberia. Simple as that.
Yeah. How long does it take?
You know, Liberia Liberia does not have dual citizenship because
Yes,
the
they do.
Liberian legislatures blocked that years ago. They don't want a lot of Liberians from America running for office and everything like that. That's what the friggin' problem is. That's why Jewel is sitting in America right now. She can't go back. So this is not this nonsense about, oh yeah, Liberia has dual citizenship. Liberia does not have dual citizenship. I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I'm gonna tell you, oh yeah,
Will you please get the law and post it on your website? That's what I have to say. Please get the Liberian immigration law and post it on your website.
The person I outsource all
verbatim.
This. My brother Ross. My brother Ross comes on tonight.
I'm not talking about outsourcing. Just publish what the Liberian embassy says in Washington.
Laws are, and I told you my perspective, what it is, and everything.
I don't want to know your perspective. I want to know what the laws of Liberia are, sir.
You have your own version of more than
not my version. Not my version. I want the Liberian government's version.
Everybody's there on visas. Every Liberian that I know that's investing in Liberia got to get a visa. People are born there. They live in the United States. They got to get a visa to travel back.
Okay, Khalo, let me ask you another question. What if I meet a Liberian citizen woman and I marry her? How long does it take me to be a citizen?
I don't know. I don't.
Will you please find out, Khalo?
Are you trying to marry a Liberian woman, John?
I know people who
are married to one. I'm married to one.
I have. Do you know Lee Evans? Do you know Lee Evans, the late Lee Evans?
No.
Do you remember the brothers that did this with the Black Berets in 1968 Olympics? The 4x400 meter.
I wasn't born then, John. I wasn't born. John, I wasn't born.
Oh, okay, fine. Are you telling me you don't know what happened with Tommy Smith and John Carlos in 1968?
Yeah. I remember something about the Black Power fist in the.
You remember something about it. You don't understand what it meant when Tommy Smith and Carlos did that.
That's not my time period.
Okay, but well, 1822 wasn't your time period.
Oh yeah, well that's what
1847 was not your time period.
That's what interests me right now.
Okay. Do you know what the symbol says of the coat of arms? It says "We came back" in Liberia. Do you know that's what it says? We founded the country. It's our country, Khalo.
Okay, so you're gonna go. So do you understand they had a coup in 1980? That said,
yes, the CIA sponsored coup.
Okay, so it does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. They had a coup and whatnot, and that all collapsed. So we're trying to build right now. It's very delicate right now. Trying to build. Liberia just celebrated 200 years, celebrating the African American Caribbean ancestors coming back last
1822, 2022. I'm very aware of that.
And this sort of talk you talk about is divisive.
It's not. I'm asking for the law. I'm asking for the law. That's not divisive.
You cannot go and tell them, "Oh, we found the country."
I'm asking for the law. It has nothing to do with
you can't just go and say, "I'm entitled to a Liberian passport."
I didn't say entitled. I asked what the law says.
I'm telling you what the law is.
What is it?
You acting like you're entitled.
I didn't say I'm entitled. I ask you what the law is, sir.
I'm telling you, you cannot get a passport. You can get a residency. You can get a visa, whatever like that, but you cannot get.
That's not true. That's not true.
And you keep denying that, right? Every Liberian I know got to get a friggin'.
I've given you the most
my brother Naya, right?
Possible.
He was supposed to
married a Liberian and had a Liberian
my brother Naya Sendola, right? Brother Naya Sendola. He basically was supposed to meet me there in 2021, but because of COVID, his post office shut down and whatnot. He couldn't meet me over there, so he couldn't have like this. He was born there. He got dozens of.
Let's do it another way.
He's building
a house. George Way running for president. Is George Way
he cannot get on a plane and go to Liberia, the country he was born in.
Okay, Khalo. Let's move that aside. Get the law and post it on your website now.
Is
George Way running for president again?
Let me see if I can get. Personally, let me see if I can get Great African on the phone.
Is the president of Liberia running for re-election right now? George Way,
yes,
former world footballer.
Yes.
Is he married to a Jamaican?
Yes.
Is she a Liberian citizen or a Jamaican citizen or a U.S. citizen right now?
There's some people that get away with stuff like this. George Weah got a French citizenship, but he runs. Some people, they can get away with it, but you can't.
I'm not talking about me right now. I'm trying to enlighten your audience here, sir.
Well, check this out. Everybody knows that
I haven't said
the
what
law,
I want to do. I said,
everybody knows the law.
you chose
His wife's
Liberia.
Jamaican.
You chose
George
Liberia,
French
sir.
citizenship. George Wayne got French citizenship. His wife's a Jamaican, right? And I think American, right? But they're still in office, right? We know the hypocrisy and the corruption. But when it comes down to you and I and everybody else and all these Liberians who are complaining, why is George Ware running for office, whatnot, when he's a French citizen?
Okay, and his son, who played on the United States of America's
But he
World
got
Soccer
privilege.
Football
You know what I'm
Team.
saying? You understand what continent you live on? Talk about, John. You're talking about Africa. They do things based on what suits them. Who's ever in power.
I understand that, Khalo. You chose Liberia. So I'm trying to understand why you chosen Liberia, and I want your audience to know why you chose Liberia, and do the laws favor us for Liberia versus Sierra Leone or somewhere else?
What I say respectfully, John, is this. The laws right now, like there's a window, like a small hole, right? If you, as far as like a small hole, if you do what the what Liberians do, the Liberian Americans do, and everything, it could work. But to basically say that basically bomb rush the coast and take over Liberia and grab citizenship tomorrow and just start running for office, that's not going to happen.
Who said something about tomorrow? I only asked what tomorrow is, sir.
Any time in the daytime, you're not going to see no black person in America running for office, holding office in Liberia.
I didn't say anything about running for office. I just
when you talk about citizenship, right? And you talk about getting into politics. You know how toxic Liberian politics is.
I didn't say anything about running for office, sir.
When you say if you say I'm a Liberian citizen, that means people look at you like you're ready to. Liberia is very toxic politically. You know, everybody that's a citizen of Liberia think they're on top of the world. When I'm there, I let the Liberians talk and everything. That's your politics. I don't get involved with Liberian politics like that. I'm there to do what
I didn't say get involved with politics. I just said what does it take to hold the Liberian passport according to law.
Let me give you a perfect example, right? 10 years ago, give it whatever the guy's name is, they came to Texas Southern, right? And with Sirleaf, right? Go watch that clip. It's on YouTube, right? One of the people they was asking questions about the Liberian in the audience was asking questions about dual citizenship, right? And the Liberian legislature at the time said, no, we're not ready for dual citizenship. And then one person asked him, said, look, we got all these Liberians in America. They can't vote or they can't participate in the country. He said, well, we can't handle this and everything like this because they don't want people from America, the Liberians in America that's exile, influencing Liberian politics. And then
I heard you, but that's not what I asked you.
Involved in their politics.
Fine. That's not what I asked you. I haven't asked about politics yet. All I asked you was George Way running for re-election, and you said yes. Now, George Way has French citizenship, according to you, but he's president of Liberia. His wife is Jamaican. I asked you, does she have Liberian citizenship? Their son, or a son of his, born in New York, played for the United States World Soccer Football Team at the last World Cup last year. So in that one family, you have a French Liberian, you have a Jamaican, possibly Liberian, and you have a U.S. citizen son playing for the United States of America, singing the national anthem, and probably has a Liberian citizenship too. I suggest you contact that family if you want this thing to roll like you want to roll, sir, because they are the determining factor in your discussion.
Well,
you got 3 or 4 citizenships in one family, and that's what Pan-Africanism is about. I thought.
Well, okay.
That's what I thought.
Let's argue. Let's debate that point. It's not
an argument.
Oh, let's debate that point. Let's debate that point, right? You said Pan-Africanism is about having 4 citizenships in countries and whatnot.
One family.
One family, right? But does that mean
starting with the president?
So in other words, do you really think in a million years that you could just basically go to any part of Africa? Because the bottom line, each country guards itself. Let me perfect example like this. I've
only asked you about Liberia and why you chose
John, listen to me.
Nothing else.
I have
Liberia. Liberia.
Look, I asked the guy
We'll get to the others, but
hold up.
be definitive on Liberia, since that's
John,
what you've chosen.
John, you gonna let me talk?
Sir.
John, you gonna let me talk? Let me talk.
I've let you talk a long time. You haven't answered me.
I asked Amara a month ago, right? I said, you know something? You know what would basically be an impasse, right? If basically some African countries, you got the ECOWAS, right? Why don't you cede sovereignty to one body of government that's going to govern the shipping and the commerce on the coast of West Africa? No. Because each country, like he's from Sierra Leone, right? He's like, no, each country got a big man. They want their part and everything. And they're not going to basically, so in other words, basically, instead of having an international shipping authority, right, which basically can give out contracts and ports and everything, right now you got a French guy that controls most of the logistics and ports in West Africa. I said, why don't you guys have a commission that basically Nigeria, all these countries like an international shipping authority? They don't want to do that. So what's the point of having Pan-African? It's called Pan-Africanism in name only. So in other words, we could be a Pan-Africanist, right? But when it comes down to actually doing stuff that would make it work, that's logical, achievable, reasonable, practical, it's not being done. It's all talk.
Okay, have you ever tried to reach George Weah, the president of Liberia?
Well, my partners talk to George Weah. He's good to shoot pool with. They tell me he can smoke blunts and shoot pool with. But as far as like this, my uncle, right? My wife's uncle, right? He said he worked with George Weah, right? He said he's a nice guy. You can shoot pool with him. You can throw dice with him or not. But he said when it comes down to business or not, he just don't dare. He goes, George Weah has that audience with people with dynamic ideas and everything like that. My Uncle Charlie, right? He told me, he said, look, I know George Weah personally. We're friends. I work for his government. The first 3 years, right? I work for his government. He talks to me all the time. He said, I work with this government, right? He says, look, try to talk to him is like talking to a brick wall. And
will he win?
Says the same.
Good. Will he win the next election in October next month?
I don't know.
Are you supporting him or somebody else for that?
I say I'm staying neutral because I don't want to burn my bridges.
Okay. All right. Are there any candidates that would support your or our cause?
Well, do you understand something about the cause we're talking about? Now, Cummings, right? I met with Dr. Kula, right? She works for Cummings. Bomani. I introduced Bomani to Dr. Kula. I met her when I was in Liberia. She said the first thing she's going to do if Cummings wins or whatnot, and she's going to have education, and she's going to basically create an African American Liberia commission. I said that's fine if you win. But she said, but this government, even though George Weah and all stuff like that, everybody knows, yeah, you need to reach out to Black America and stuff like that. It's not on the priority agenda.
Okay, so in other words, you and I and others who have this desire to build up Africa would rather have somebody else on that seat than George Weah.
Well, you have to. Well, I'm saying like this: don't get your feelings hurt because 6 years is a long term. What if he wins?
That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking you this.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not going to burn my bridges.
Wouldn't you say it's okay? Fine. You're the one that chose Liberia, not me.
Right.
You chose Liberia,
and the whole
so
thing
it would be part of your problems, sir.
Well, what I'm saying is this,
I'm thinking you would rather have somebody other than George Weah. I'm
looking at all the other places, right? And I'm saying to myself, as far as like when the average Liberian, when I talk to a lot of Liberians, they get what I'm talking about, But the bottom line, that's never translated to power and government and everything, So I said,
talking about power and government. We're talking about a conducive environment for us to do what we want to do.
Well, let me give you.
We're going to build up Africa.
Right. Oh, let me give you an example, right?
We're going to build up Africa.
Let me give you an example.
Khalo, I would agree. The best nation legally for us to pursue is Liberia, but is the leadership ready for us?
Well,
is the leadership in Liberia ready for us?
Well, I'm saying like this, right?
If they're not,
there,
maybe we should take another option.
When I went there, I'm like this.
I'm like, welcome. It's a lot easier to deal with.
Well, this is what I
Liberia
would say.
Is our country.
Exactly. This is what I would say, right? Whether Leah is ready for us, I'm saying like this. I just want to keep doing what we need to be doing, as long as they don't get in our way. That's all I care about. We got a lot of Black people of America. I got old elder Julius Larry, Dr. Julius Larry from Texas, one of these older gentlemen. He's retired and whatnot. He's investing a lot in Liberia and whatnot. I got Elder Overton, who's trying to build a school there, a technical school there. I got several African Americans in the BAIO, and they're basically doing stuff on the ground and everything like that. They're not going to get any support from it. I was privy to a conversation, right? 2 years ago, I was sitting in a Fuse-On restaurant, right? And I overheard a conversation, right, that really stuck with me, right? There was this young guy from, I don't know if he was from the Netherlands. He spoke English, right? So I don't know what country he was from, right? But he spoke good English, right? And he met with some Liberian official, whatever, right? And he was doing something like fiber optics. He had some good idea to, that could help Liberia, right? And so I eavesdropped on the conversation, right? And the government official says, "Look, that's beautiful, but our priorities are we do not have the money and the means to do what you're saying. That sounds beautiful, But if you can find a way how to do it, whatever like that, and make it work, everything, we can do it. But I cannot do it." The guy was like, "See, this is what you need, blah, blah, blah." And that guy, you just don't get it. And I was eavesdropping on the conversation, and I was saying to myself, well, that's what the problem is, right? They got priorities, right? That's not ours, So if you come there with your own money and want to invest in everything, no Liberian's going to tell you no. What is
Let's start at the top.
Tay-Brown just basically.
Khalo, can you read his comment and
we don't believe you when you're talking Liberians, Khalo. You sound like an old person who claims they talk to God when they pray. What is it? What does that got to do with anything? My trolls. Hey, John, you got a fan club here. All my trolls, man, they love you tonight.
I don't know. They didn't say they love John yet. I didn't.
Yeah.
We're talking about the law. I think you should visit the Liberian embassy as you've done before and post the dual citizenship and Liberian citizenship requirements for Blacks in the Americas, since most of us on the show, I assume, are. If you're ECOWAS, you don't even have to get a Liberian passport. That's 15 countries. Once you have an ECOWAS passport, essentially you are an ECOWAS citizen.
Well, check us out. ECOWAS is at war with Mali, Niger.
They're not at war with Mali.
They were.
The West is asking ECOWAS to go in against Mali,
ECOWAS.
Niger. Actually,
Niger.
Only because
they got a backlash right now. So who's ECOWAS is really benefiting? ECOWAS has been.
Liberia is in ECOWAS, isn't it?
It is an what?
The Liberians wrote
the ECOWAS. Of course, they're ECOWAS. Sirleaf was the chair of ECOWAS.
It was Liberians that took the lead on that.
Yeah. So, but the thing is,
Liberians that took the lead on that.
But let's be honest with ourselves, right, John? Let's be honest. Hold on, John. Don't get.
We have set the policy about.
Don't get pumped up here, John.
Via Liberia,
let's be honest with ourselves, right?
The OAU founded.
Check out,
John.
You've been around long enough. John, you've been around long enough to know it's like who's paying ECOWAS is who's calling the shots, and it's France,
today,
US,
still us,
all stuff like that. That's
the OAU started. It's us who got the Pan-African movement started. It's us.
I know, but look what's done. Let me break down some issues. Hold on, John. Hold up. Do you got 5 minutes for me?
Let's move on. Let's move on.
John. Hold. Let's not move on just yet. Now, you said, hold up. Okay,
you answer the question, but you're not answering.
John, with all due respect, right? You said that you talked about Dar es Salaam and the Pan-African. But I don't think you know about the Pan-African Convention of 1979 in Monrovia. That was erased from history.
Not only that, the Lagos Plan was erased too.
Yeah, okay. You know about the Lagos Plan of Action. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You've been doing your homework. Okay?
Yeah.
And also the Mono River Union, and the West African Power Pool. All that stuff like that was supposed to bring Liberia and all these countries online. The African Development Bank ended up going to Abidjan, Ivory Coast. All this stuff like that was done. You know why it happened? Because that coup in 1980, right? The original OAU was supposed to be the preemptive organization for the whole continent.
CIA sponsored Samuel Doe coup.
So we have to keep talking about CIA because the Asians and all these other people, right? They had the CIA too, but they won. Cuba, the CIA tried to take Castro out. He outlived 6, 7 presidents. So I'm tired of hearing about the CIA and all stuff like that. We use that.
Tired. Just note it and move on.
I know that, but I'm
Let's
saying,
not forget, Samuel Doe didn't do that with his illiterate self by himself. You know.
Oh, I know that. We know the CIA did that because Tolbert moved towards the non-aligned movement with Russia, China, Libya, and everything, and they put Samuel Doe up there as a puppet, and it made it seem like, oh, this is indigenous people. That was a lie. We know that, you know. But the thing is,
Which
there's
means
a lot of
also
Liberians.
there's
There's a lot of Liberians who
1980
still
should
think
be
Samuel Doe is
retroactive.
their leader.
Do you agree?
They
Everything
still
from 1980 should be retroactive. We should go back to the 79 laws in
well,
place.
we should, but you know.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out where you are, and everybody else online is trying to figure out where you are. Kala,
Diana's texting me some stuff when I don't know what Diana's talking about. You know. I mean, bottom line,
you should know. All you had to do was say, John, it requires 1 year, 2 year residency unless you're married or whatever. You have to do a certain amount of investment.
I think Diana's
give us the damn answers, man.
I think Diana's
You've been over there.
I think he's over enthusiastic.
We wasted 30 damn minutes over you not having that information.
No, what I'm saying is this. So I'm saying
it was simple.
What I'm saying, no, everybody's talking about.
We're not talking yet.
You're talking about ECOWAS.
We're not even talking yet, Carla.
We're talking about ECOWAS, and I'm telling you right now,
I'm talking about Liberian
it really
passports.
doesn't mean anything. Remember, ECOWAS does not cover you and I. We're U.S. citizens. That covers all the people that's in the.
I'm talking about a Liberian passport. If you have it, you got ECOWAS.
I'm
talking about a Liberian passport. Forget ECOWAS.
I know, but I'm saying this. But Dinas Amir is saying that you get a Liberian passport, they're not going to give you a Liberian passport to be an ECOWAS if you're a U.S. citizen. It's not going to happen. There's so many Liberians in America would love to have an ECOWAS passport.
I know Black Americans that have it, Kala. I just asked you what's the
from Sierra Leone because they give passports away.
No, I'm talking about Liberia, the country.
Oh, well, you don't know no Liberians that got ECOWAS passports. African Americans.
I said U.S. citizens. I named Lee Evans.
Yeah, Dinus, who have expertise on this, join us. It's all good. All good.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can hold to my brother. Great
anyone
Africa.
Who have
he would know
information. If you can post it, and I'll post it because we're at a stalemate right here. It's stalemate.
All I asked was, what does the law says? I don't want his opinion.
Well, you keep talking about Liberian law, or you keep talking about ECOWAS, right? You keep going back and forth.
Liberia. I didn't go to ECOWAS. You did.
Look. The bottom line is this: that's outside of Liberia. You know. So you asking me for what's going on in Liberia. Now I'm telling you, I never heard anything about this citizen. Now you tell me, oh, it's ECOWAS. Diane's is saying it's ECOWAS. I
didn't say ECOWAS.
I never said that,
I asked you about a Liberian passport issued since 1847. That's what I asked you about.
Well, matter of fact,
and you can't give me the answer. Just give me the answer. What's the law say? I don't want your opinion.
In the 70s, right? Because before
I'm not talking about the 70s. I'm talking about 2000.
Before in the 70s,
I don't want to know that. Just give me the answer right now. I don't want to hear that. I know that. But what is the law right now? You're supposed to spit it out. That's all.
So the bottom line, you keep asking me redundant questions. I already told you.
You're not getting.
My final thing is you're not getting any citizenship with that U.S. passport in Liberia. That's what
I know people who have it.
I'm saying. So if you know somebody, hey, I know George Weah and his son and everything. People like that can, and certain privileged people, but the average person, you ain't getting no dual citizenship.
What does the law say? That's what I asked you.
Well, the law says George Weah got French citizenship and he ran for office.
I'm not asking about George Weah.
My brother, you have to answer the question, brother. We're at around where you guys need to answer each other questions. Let's keep it real. This direct answer right to the point.
He keeps going on about. I just told you, right? George Weah ran for office, but he was a French citizen from France. As a thing like that, no one cared.
That's not what I asked you.
So the bottom line is this, but you try to do that, right?
Kamala Harris is vice president of the United States. She was born natively in California. She's native born. She's not natural born, but she's your vice president. We can go on and on. Okay, she's not eligible to be a vice president because you have to be born on the soil of a U.S. state at birth to two U.S. parents. But we ignore that too, right? That's not what I've asked you. I've asked you what the law says. Nothing else.
Well,
not your opinion. What does the
And you
law
keep
say?
give me these examples.
No,
you can
no.
give me
I asked
examples
you.
of
You
exceptions.
chose Liberia.
You
Can we
said,
get
yeah,
the
I chose
passports?
Liberia, and the bottom line is that so far
So
we have
your answer is no.
on the
We can't
ground.
get it.
I'm trying to get people.
Your answer
to
is no.
tour. We're trying to get people to do tourism and stuff like that. You're talking about citizenship.
I'm not talking about tourism. I lived on the
I
continent for
never
32
told
years.
I never told anybody that you should get citizenship in Liberia right now. You brought that up.
I asked, what can we get the passport?
Oh,
and what's required to get it?
You are asking the wrong person. That's not my game.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you finally answered the question.
Yeah,
you could have done that in 10 seconds.
So we're saying we're trying to do tours, investments, everything like that.
Okay,
and
that's what you want to do.
If you basically
That's
want to go
what you
over
want to do.
and
That's
invest,
what
whatever
you
like
want
that,
to
you
do.
can make a connection, right? But let's be honest,
that's what you want to do, Khalo.
Most black people in America don't really have nothing to contribute, you know?
Okay. That's your opinion.
That's
serious. What you're about. Okay, good. We're not.
The
we're
black
getting
people that
what
they
you want us to know.
The black people that they want, right? They're not interested in Liberia. They go in a place like Kenya and stuff like this. I'm trying to say this is a good place for tourism. You can own property. You can do stuff like that. You can build a nice house, on a piece of property, with a beachfront property for a little under $50,000, right? If you want to retire there or use it as an Airbnb, there's a lot of opportunity. We got plenty of examples that we showed, you know. But I never said that you got to bum rush the coast and become a citizen overnight.
Let me put it another way. Khalo. You know I've lived on the continent longer than you, right?
Yeah, what does that mean?
This.
Yeah, what does that
mean? You know I studied all of it. The more you talk, the more I can give you more examples. But I am putting you on the spot. This is your organization that you got called in on. I didn't even know you were going to be on this show. Okay, that was my question. Can we get the Liberian passport? The answer is yes. And we can keep our U.S. passport.
Right ahead.
Yes, so it allows dual citizenship. Now, what's the residency requirement?
You want to believe that
get the passport?
If you want to believe that
belief, Khalo,
in Liberia,
two
citizenship in Liberia, go right ahead. And then the Liberian government got to
tell us what the law is.
They got to answer to the Lebanese, and then the Liberian government got to go before the world saying,
"I'm not talking about Lebanese. I'm talking about Negroes."
Well, the bottom line is you got to understand the situation that Liberia finds itself in. Sooner or later, if we keep pushing. See, this is the whole problem, right? This is what I get angry about, right? If you keep pushing the situation, right, what's going to happen is like when George Weah got elected president, you know what the first thing he said? He said, we need to get rid of the Race-Based Exclusion Act in Article 27. That's the first thing he said.
To allow whites to be citizens.
Yes, that's what George Weah said. But he got
so much whites to be
in Liberia. He got. That's what George Weah said. But he got so much pushback and almost riots in Liberia because he said, no, we want to keep it the way it is. And the only way to keep it the way it is for the time being is to have that dual citizenship law. You know, you can't have dual citizenship. That protects
you can.
Oh well, why don't you go there and lobby the Liberian government? You said you know more than they do. I'm telling you, that's what happened.
Are you saying you tried to get the passport? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not trying to get a passport.
Okay. My question doesn't concern you.
Diners love himself on ECOWAS. Diners love himself some ECOWAS, man. You know, I wish him more.
He's got a Sierra Leone passport. He's got a Nigerian passport, and he's got a U.S. passport. I've seen all three of them.
Yeah.
He has all three of those, and he's an ECOWAS citizen.
But all you really need is a U.S. passport. You can get in any of these countries. They're like begging people.
You can go anywhere in the world with a U.S. passport. That's not what we're talking about.
What's the need for a Nigerian passport? You can't get into Dubai with a Nigerian passport. You can't get into. You can't get
5 minutes.
Any place outside of Africa with any of those passports.
All right, I've heard what you're saying and what you don't want to say. Now, let me say it from everybody else's perspective. If we want to come and invest in Liberia, the best thing we can have is a Liberian passport, so we don't have to hear no shit.
You can get residency.
I don't want residency. If I'm investing $1 million, I want the passport.
Oh, you get yo, John. If you had $1 million, I'll go over there and get you that passport my damn self. I'll make it happen.
I wouldn't need you.
Anybody basically has $1 million, right? I'm telling you right now, I can
That's
get
not
you,
my point.
Get you a passport.
I can get it.
But
I could have had it.
People sitting there, a bunch of no offense to anybody, right? I don't want a bunch of the people I see online. Keep that in other countries, right? I'm trying to put our best face forward when it comes to Black America in Liberia, right? I don't want a bunch of people go to.
Okay.
I got a passport.
Okay, that's you. Evidently, you can't get them on the boat with you. But anyway, my point is, if somebody's going to invest,
if you got $1 million, I'll help you get a passport. If you really want a passport,
I wouldn't need you to get it.
I will get it for you. I will go over there. I will go over there and get it for you.
Yeah, but if someone with $1 million,
I got the Bomani knows I got the means to make it happen. I can do it.
Okay, good, great.
But I just don't want every riffraff to talk about they want a freaking Liberian passport. Keep that stuff in other countries.
Okay, I heard you. You sound like a Liberian now, actually. But you
Yeah,
don't have a passport.
I'm married to one, and I'm into the country. I love the country. I'm trying to protect Liberia.
When are you going to get your Liberian passport then?
Yeah, look. Bottom line is this, right? I'm going to be going back and forth. We're doing this tour and whatnot, you know.
That's not what I asked you. When are you getting your Liberian passport?
John, I could get a diplomatic visa. I could get a diplomatic visa for.
That's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you.
And the bottom line, hold on. You gotta say, let's Bomani, what we have to do right now in this junction of the conversation, right? Bomani, can you pull up the legal definition of a passport? Can you pull that up?
I don't need that.
No.
I'm asking you, when are you getting your Liberian passport?
We need that for clarity. We need that for clarity.
Good. I suggest you have the law posted on your website.
Okay, we need that for clarity. What is the definition of a passport? What is it entitled?
Yeah, you should post that too, my brother.
Okay, look, Bomani, can you?
But I've asked you, when are you getting your Liberian
gonna
passport? I'm asking you now. Since you
All
can make it happen for everybody else, when are you getting yours, Khalo?
Oh, the bottom line is, hey, look, if you're an investor, whatever like that, you're a major investor, whatnot, you gotta want to invest.
I'm talking about you.
You say, look, I want to settle here and whatnot, dude. I'll get you 20 acres of land in Marshall, Liberia, right? And I'll get you a fucking passport. I'll get you 20 acres.
I'm talking about you, Khalo. I'm talking about you, Khalo.
Don't worry about me.
Passport.
I'm good.
I am worried about you.
What I'm doing. I got my
movement.
I got my people. I got people on payroll on the ground running my errands for me in Liberia.
All right. Good luck.
So, but John, man, if you know somebody that's a multi-billionaire, you got all those people in Nigeria, man. Where all those billionaires? I know you met some of the millionaires and billionaires in Nigeria, man. Tell them to come over, man. I'll be like, hey, look, come on over. Bring some of that money, man. You know, come with that money, man. I'll get you citizens. I'll get you anything. We'll make it happen.
They already have all of that, and I know several of them.
But let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of Liberians,
they have every passport.
A lot of Liberians don't want a lot of Nigerians in their country. Let's be honest with ourselves. You know,
that's not what I've asked you. I asked you when you're getting your passport, sir.
Look, I got a U.S. passport. I don't need one. You know. The day it comes,
I hear you.
If it comes down to where I can't do something,
right.
whatever like that, and the day comes when I'm ready to live in Liberia permanently, maybe in 10 years, you know, I retire. When I retire to Liberia, then I'm gonna get a passport and live there.
Okay, great. All right. Is the floor open to suggest some other nation we go to? Khalo's stuck on Liberia, not getting a passport. I've got that clear to the whole audience.
At this point, yes, let's play the video. And then,
all right, great. He could have answered it in 15 seconds, but it took us 35, 45 minutes.
I mean, anyway. Since we're talking about it, the official election date is the first Tuesday of November of next year, correct? 2024.
I don't know when the election thing is. Pardon me, I don't know.
I understand it's next month.
I'll go with what you have.
What country? The U.S. election. Right? The U.S. election.
No, it's not this November.
So I'm looking
I thought it was
at.
October, but anyway,
It is
I'm not
October.
there.
I guess I just have to ask you.
It's October of 2023, right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Obviously, what's his
It's
name?
next month.
Biden said that. I mean, according to his words, he said that we're not going to even talk about reparations unless the Native Americans get theirs. That's what Biden said.
Well, the point is that this is why I find the Pan-African people very dangerous in our community. We have both lineages, Native American and African. We should get both of them. It's a crime that we aren't getting the Native American stuff. It's ours too.
Now,
However you want to call us, however you want to label us. However, I'm not trying to be funny. Okay, I grew up in the family. We learned about the Niger Valley and Egypt, and I'm all for Africa and African things. However, as I'll say to anyone, you start sending me to the family reunions, and the people look like they're Chinese, and the people look like they're from every place but Africa. And I'm thinking, okay, Africans are at least kind of brown with maybe curly hair and all. What the hell are we? I don't see anybody here except for a handful of us that look like we're from Africa. What are we? Who are we? And if you said they're not white, okay, they don't look white. Well, what are these people? Who are we? That was my question as a child. My God. I mean, I'm a reasonable person. Tell me what we are. But you can't tell me when a person looks like they're from the Kung Fu TV show, and you're going to tell me they're from Africa, and you're 100% African, and everybody's just Africa. That's garbage. I resent that because having African origin isn't so weak that we have to run around denying who and what we are to make people feel comfortable. So, goddamn the Pan-Africanists who are so weak in their identity that we have to pretend that we don't have any connection to the people that were already here, that we are some of the people that were already here. Who would forsake 9 million square miles of land over some bullshit kente cloth pride? That's what these people pushing, some kente cloth pride. I get it that you need to belong somewhere and you feel lonely in America and all of that, but we don't throw all the facts out the window. Nobody throws away millions of square miles of land, millions of acres over a damn humbug, except for Pan-Africanists, the dumbest ass people in our race. And it is not denying a connection to Africa. That is not what I'm doing. But God damn it, we're here too. Nobody gives up land. This land doesn't belong to the people who are oppressing us. You don't see them trying to give up no land. So it's a cop-out. It's a retreat. That's why they'll have Pan-African courses in the universities, but you don't have anything showing the linkages of the original Aboriginal Black people here. In fact, Black people are Aboriginal to the whole planet. But the Pan-Africanists, along with white supremacists, say only Black people in Africa. So what about New Guinea? What about Melanesia? What about the people in Taiwan? What about the Mio people in China? What about the Laplanders? What about the Black people all over the damn face of the earth? What about the Ainu in Japan? Liar Pan-Africanists, you are goddamn liars. You're telling us to give up what little we have here for something that's not certain in Africa. I'm not knocking Africa. Africa's rich, but who owns the resources in Africa? And damn it, don't you say Africans. They're in the hands of white corporations who have armies, African armies, fighting to help exploit Africa. Who do you think they'll kill if you go to Africa with your Pan-Africanist ideas, talking about Africa for the Africans?
Yo, I'm gonna have to invite this brother to Kwanzaa.
Yes, brother, Khalo Genesis. Yo, give us the the Afrikstan analysis on the video so far
That's
before we
rough, right?
continue?
This brother, I sent you his picture. Can you put his picture up?
Not really, but go ahead, talk.
I like talking about somebody with his picture showing. I sent you his picture. Yeah, I sent you his picture on WhatsApp.
I got it. I'll keep talking. I'll load it up right away.
Right. So this guy basically, he's not really a doctor or whatever like that. He's I looked at some and say he's a black conservative type. He's a follower of Larry Elder and all these other people. And the whole thing is, nobody ever said that you have to give up anything in America. Nobody ever said that. But these people these people love being in captivity. When I say captivity, I'm talking mental captivity. So in other words, basically, he thinks of reparations. Like they know that the reparations is not going to happen. But like I said, didn't I tell you that 2 years ago, Bomani? Reparations is just something that they can hold on to and tether themselves to white America with.
Yes, absolutely.
White America can get up and all go to Mars. Them Negroes will build a spaceship, like Soul spaceship with that, and the funky, something like the P-Funk or not, we intergalactic with that. They be like, we gotta find the white man. The white man, he's on some planet like, we're finally free these Negroes. Negroes gonna show up and whatnot and be like, yo, man, what about us? They're like, damn, why don't y'all park on that planet over there? They're gonna be like, no, we're going with y'all. And then instead of them saying, okay, you know something? I want to be part of this new planet, whatever like that, right? Right? What they do is they'll be like, oh man, yo, Lord, it's a codependent relationship. It's like a lady who's being in an abusive relationship, right? Stockholm syndrome, right? When the husband says, you know something, okay, I'm gonna give you a divorce. She's gonna find every reason in a thing to stay with him. Reparations is basically talking about child alimony and you owe me and everything, so it's cheaper to keep her. That's what reparations is just basically black people trying to hold on, not to America, but to hold on to white people, hold on to a relationship that white people have moved on with, The rest of the world have moved on from slavery and everything. Africa is moving on, right? They understand colonialism happened, everything. Now they're building new relationships with China, Russia, and everything. The world is changing geopolitically. But the black man in America, he's still stuck in this conundrum with white America. And to justify it, he tried to say he's fighting for his right. Notice how that guy said all these groups of people around the world. He didn't mention the Congo. He didn't mention all the different groups of people in Africa and everything. He only talked about these other people, Randy Short will cook me. Well, you bite Randy Short on here. Like I said, all these people, right? If you think Randy Short could cook me, you bring him on this show and then let him go for it. Because I'm saying like this, I believe in what's LARP, what's logical, achievable. Nobody in the Pan-African movement that I know, right? At least the Pan-African I know. Now, there's some dumb Pan-Africans, right, who go to Africa and they look dusty and they broke and everything like that, and they don't have their plan together. They say, just go to Africa, just go to Africa. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those so-called Pan-Africans that tell you to go to Africa just to go to Africa. In fact, Bomani and I try to talk people out of that because we know a lot of people are not ready and prepared for that. Just like I know a lot of people are not prepared to go to Liberia. Now, those who are prepared to go, right? Those are people I would say, okay, you could be an asset to this country. But don't feel entitled that you got to go and bum rush the coast. Because those people end up going to go to Africa and look what happened in Gambia. It's a mess. All over the continent, Ghana, everything is falling apart. So many people leaving the continent, coming back and whatnot, and that's humiliating. You don't get we're all out to go to Tanzania and all these countries and everything. The only country pretty much people settle in is South Africa because South Africa has got white folks and they got infrastructure. And this is this guy right here. This is one of these Negroes that, I'm a black American, right? He's like another Smokey Robinson. I'm a black American, whatever the hell that means. I'm an American painted black. I'm an American with a coat of black paint on me. Tay Brown, man, like I said, the hostility I get, take your path after Africa. I never said.
They say Randy Short will cook you, Kala.
Whatever.
Madinka.
The dude was slurring on his words and whatnot. You know, dude, I would have this dude. I would make this dude my son. You know, I would make this dude my son. You know, the bottom line is this: he was slurring on, oh yeah, acting all emotional. Everything. Nobody ever said, right, that like this. You know, that we have to freaking go to the continent. Everything. I'm like this. We always talk about the top 10, 20 black businesses in America, right? All African American, right? Billionaire company. We play the video. Bomani don't like to play it because he gets bored, right? 20 top black businesses in America, right? Will stand up against any corporations in the world. Nobody knows about them, but I know about these companies since the 90s. I used to be subscribed to Black Enterprise magazine. If you don't know these companies that were building since the 90s, I've been following these companies. Now they're Fortune 500 companies, right? All African American, Black American, not Black immigrants, Black American, all Black money. The McKinsey Corporation, all these other people, Hightower of the Hightower Logistics and Oil Refinery in Akron, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio. So many rubber, tire, steel manufacturing and stuff like that. All that we have in Black America. I'm not going to say give all that up. I'm saying let's take a piece of that, right? And look to the mother continent to expand. What's so wrong about that?
Absolutely, Colin. Got your point. Beautiful. So let's hear from John. John, what you thought about the video in the first few minutes? Because we have more to play.
Yeah, the brother's on point with a few things. I would say most of what he said, I have to agree, because he's factual. I didn't hear exactly what his solution would be, though. I mean, I didn't listen. It was 2 hours and 55 minutes. I only heard about an hour of it, I think. But he did point out quite a few facts. Yes, the corporations are in control. I mean, the UAC company, they're the biggest modern plunderers. After the Rothschilds went in, Cecil Rhodes was a Rothschild banking agent, and he captured everything from Cairo to Cape Town. Right? So the UAC, United Africa Company, there's United Africa Company Kenya, UAC Uganda, UAC Tanzania, UAC Ghana, UAC Nigeria, etc. Out of the Royal Niger Company, as far as Nigeria is concerned, it was a compact agreement. And they amalgamated the Northern Protectorate, the Southern Protectorate, and the colony of Lagos into one country with a stroke of a pen, because they had the power to do it in 1914. So the privileges of the people in that compact handed over the baton to some cronies and some traditional rulers that are still, the top 100 people in Nigeria. Now, in Nigeria, about 80 people control 80% of all the bank deposits and all the banks in the entire country of Nigeria. They're tied to these people, most of them. And there's 225 million people that are Nigerians right now. And less than 100 people are controlling 80% of the economy.
And 60% of Nigeria's economy is Lagos itself. That's 60%. The rest of
that's the GDP. That's the GDP.
60% of GDP.
But see, what I'm talking about is they've been extracting and still are mining gold and everything else and flying it out on dirt paths on private jets right now in Zaria. I mean, not Zaria. That state next to Kenya, Zamfara State. Okay. They built a railroad. The British built a railroad just to come in at Lagos and go out at Port Harcourt and go all the way up into the country and get all the minerals and take them out. If there's a crisis on one side, they bring it out the other side of the country. By design, they started in the 1920s, actually before that. And they didn't do it to transport Nigerian citizens and goods inside the country or into what we call ECOWAS or even next door to Cameroon. Okay, it was built for extraction. Now, Johnny Carson just had a meeting with he's the special envoy appointed by Jim Crow Pedo Joe your potus right now. And he said that, yeah, they're building a railroad. They're investing in and putting a rail in from, the coast of Angola and Congo to go in and extract the minerals and come back out. But that has nothing to do with transportation within Africa. That's just to get the goods, the raw goods and minerals out. And the rest of the world ain't going nowhere without the minerals from Africa. The key minerals are there for every cell phone and space shot and anything that really matters in high tech. You got to get it from Africa. There's lithium in other places, but the cheapest labor and the largest source is in Africa. He was pinpointing on some of these points. I didn't hear the details that I just said from him, but he's aware, go read How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Rodney.
But don't you think he was a little generalization?
Yeah, he was, but I don't know what the purpose of his 3 hours was.
Now, let me ask you a question.
I only heard an hour of it, so
now
I'm just trying to answer what I heard. Maybe you heard the whole thing, Khalo. I didn't.
Well, no, I didn't hear that. That's only I heard right there. I said so. Good.
But it is a fact that the European and Western corporations control most of the assets on the continent right now. That's very true, and their cronies that signed it over to them.
But you know why? Because
periodically over the last couple of 100 years,
Africa has not found a way to process and find domestic regional use for these minerals ourselves. If you guys sell something to somebody, it doesn't matter. Africa think they got to put a hand to play with the minerals. They don't.
Africa, I don't know of a country called Africa.
Well, I'm talking about collectively.
You think the Northern Africans are working with the Black Sub-Saharan?
No, I don't consider. When I say Africa, I mean Black Africa.
Since they assassinated Uncle Muammar, I don't think so.
When I say Africa, I mean Black
Divide
Africa.
and conquer. Yeah, divide and conquer.
Sub-Saharan,
divide and conquer and rule from outside to cronies inside.
Sub-Saharan Africa, the Black people that the world hates were not Sub-Saharan, where my ancestors came from. That's what I consider Africa.
Okay.
So
even the name is not ours, but okay, all right.
So we could go into semantics and all that, but I'm trying to say
we're not talking semantics. We're talking about history, sir.
But can you put that guy Tay Brown's last comment up, Bomani?
So anyway, in a synopsis, without hearing all of what he said, that's the best answer I can give at the moment.
But he says what you said, Khalo, was Black America's number one group fighting for justice against white supremacy, follow white. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's a large numbers of Black people in America, right?
Yeah, Khalo, please, brother. You gotta read all of the questions. Let's do it right.
Let me read the whole comment. Let me read the whole question. Khalo, what you said, Khalo, was Black Americans. Number one Black group who fights for justice against white supremacists will follow white people to Mars for dependence. Yes, a lot of Black people in America really do believe that whatever success they have, even the richest Black person, right? You always see Tyler Perry, Shaquille, even Robert Smith. They always got that friggin' watermelons, cracking that watermelon smile in front of white folks, You never see somebody that's a Black billionaire, whatever like that, say, "Yo, fight the power." But you say, "Fuck y'all crackers and whatnot." White devil. You never see that. They're up there just cheesing and everything like that because they're terrified of the wrath of white people, even the most powerful Black people. Right? When a white person says, "White man raises eyebrows," they quiver. So the bottom line, even though we're fighting white supremacy and all stuff like that, we say we are. Ultimately, it's all about changing white people's hearts and minds. We're not fighting white supremacy like we're putting our foot up their ass. We're saying white people love us more, And so if white people move to Mars tomorrow, right, Black people will be following them there saying, "Hey, look, we could work something out. They'll find some way how to get to Mars and be right with white folks again. And you'll have the same thing. And the Black people will be living in 125th Street on Mars, complaining. You'll have what's his name, Sinetta thing on Mars. You'll have a Black Power movement on Mars. You'll have all this stuff like that. You'll just play right out on Mars. You take Black people, take Black people in America, white people in America, put them on another planet. The same situation will play itself right out. Because that's what Black people know. And when we talk about nation building and stuff like that, we're saying we're ready to rule and govern ourselves, and we basically say, hey, look, it's time for us to detether ourselves from white people. Because black people always call black immigrants tethers. We're the biggest tethers on the planet.
Can
Yes,
I
my
come
brother,
in
Khaled.
and
Excellent
reply
point.
to a little of that?
Oh,
And then we move
absolutely,
on?
brother. Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Smith, for example. Yes, he's a billionaire. Yes, he's a good man. No, he's not perfect in Khalo's mode of what he would like to be.
Well, I like him. I
However-
love him.
Okay, great. I don't know about the cheesing you're talking about. He's working within the system and he's figured out his game.
I'm just joke, John. It's
Can
a
I
joke.
finish, sir? Can I finish?
No, it's a
Can I
joke.
finish?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I finish? Now, he didn't have to, and write off the debt of a whole class of black brothers out of Morehouse. No other black man has done that. He put $40-something million down where his mouth was. Okay? I haven't seen any other rich black man do that, or black woman for that matter. None of them.
I agree.
Oprah, all she did was give some books to a white school, to my knowledge, though she went to South Africa and created an all-girls school that had a lot of problems, including some of the teachers having lesbian relationships with the young girls. But anyway, no other black man has done that. Now, Jay-Z, Michael Jordan, LeBron at least is putting a couple of hundred people through universities, mostly HBCUs. I'd like for more black men in that position to step up to the plate. But Mr. Smith, kudos to him, and LeBron, and some others. Not everybody's going to do everything. Well, I wish some of the Tyler Perrys would do something a little bit different with the wealth that they've acquired off of our culture, our slapstick culture, or whatever it is. I tried to contact Tyler Perry's office to do an epic about the Buffalo Soldiers based on the book that my great-grandfather wrote. And the black woman who went to Alabama A&M in my hometown, who answered the phone, said, no, Tyler doesn't do that. He only does fictions that he creates from scratch. And I said, what about the lots that he has for rent there in Atlanta that he boasts about? You can't rent his lot. They're all rented out for years to Paramount and MGM and the rest of them, Though he's now trying to buy Paramount instead of building his own Paramount. So, some of these brothers need to kind of change their tactics. However, the same lady I emailed a couple of things about the Buffalo Soldiers, an epic that has never been told, like the Tuskegee Airmen that took George Lucas, Mr. Star Wars, with a black wife. He had to buy out 700,000 seats in order to get it distributed, and it took him 20 years to do it. Buffalo Soldiers goes way back, and that story needs to be told. A lot of people are aware of some of it, but they don't know the fact that they really founded New Mexico when they're the first Park Service officers for the Department of Interior, amongst other things. Without us, that wouldn't have happened, and the West wouldn't have been won without them. But anyway. Some of these brothers that are in their position are awake, but a lot of them are still asleep. But they're doing what they can to hold on to the wealth that they do have without Uncle Sam taxing it out of their possession. It's a battle to keep it. But at least Brother Smith has done pretty good in my books. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I should have said that. I admire Robert Smith for what he did, that $40 million to HBCUs, and then he got pushback from the likes of Lisa Ray and Vivica Fox. What about black women? Blah, blah, blah. You can't satisfy everybody. Why is he doing the black man and all stuff like this? Then you got Hispanics saying, well, what about us? What about all these other people? And he said, look, I gave $40 million to give these guys a start in life and everything. And that was beautiful, and my point I'm trying to make is, he's still living under the rule of the white man in America, and so he's the wealthiest black man in West. Black America had the honor of producing the world's first non-white billionaire, Reginald Lewis in 1987, or Beatrice Holdings, you know, the first black billionaire.
Yeah, El Patrice Holdings. He had to go to Europe to do the deal and then get that distributorship to come back into the U.S.
Yeah.
They blocked him out. They tried to.
So
Smart brother.
So to say that I'm against Black America, no, you know, and the problem is a lot of Black people who say that, right? They don't laud. These are the same Black people who sit around talk about Robert Smith's a sellout. What did he do for Black people, right? Then when you start talking about Africa, we got so much America, but why do we let Ebony Magazine fail? You know, go away. Why do we let Jet Magazine go away? Why don't we support these institutions? Ebony Magazine has been a pillar in Black America for generations, but yet these people act like there's some holy Black America. We've been giving away Black America, selling it off for decades now. But now when somebody talk about Africa, suddenly, oh, we got something in America. No, you the same Black people who don't want to support Black businesses. They don't want to support Black-owned colleges. They don't want to support Black-owned institutions and everything like that. We don't want to support Black-owned media. We don't want to do all this stuff like this. But yet they want to act all sanctimonious, like this Randy Short talking like, well, we Black America, Black America. You've been selling Black America up with this, right? Before we used to have our own award shows, right? Now you can't even get Black people to show up to look at the mess we see in the BET Awards. Look how far it's gone down, you know, with the debauchery and the decadence and everything like that, you know. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I know John remembers. Remember when that Motown special back in 1987 with Philip Michael Thomas at Red Fox, and remember that?
84, I thought. You talking about the one with Marvin Gaye?
No, I don't know about 84. That was before my time. 87 had Philip Michael Thomas, it had Red Fox, it had Marshall Warfield, it had Run DMC that was doing that, did their Christmas time in House Queens. I said, man, we were on our way one night, you know, because Philip Michael Thomas, you know, star Miami Vice, he hosted it with I forgot who was co-hosting with.
He went to school in my hometown at Oakwood University.
Yeah. So I'm saying to myself, we let all these institutions go, you know, Detroit, you know, Motown and everything like that. We let everything go. And then now we want to sit here and talk about, oh, well, like, we did that. We made, gave away everything to them. We let our radio, we used to have urban radio in Black America, right? But now you got iHeartRadio, it bought up everything. Clear Channel, it bought up everything. We don't have independent Black media anymore. We let that happen. You know, so we can't be sitting there talking about, oh yeah, you know, well, Black America. Well, you didn't support Black America when we was on top, you know. All we had was like Bill Cosby. People talk about Black people threw Bill Cosby under the bus. Bill Cosby gave $70 million of his own money to Black institutions, you know, quietly sent so many hundreds of people to college and did so much.
And lost a son over pledging $2.5 million thereabout to the Congressional Black Caucus 2 weeks after he announced it.
Yeah, you know, and Black America didn't stick up for Bill Cosby, you know, so. And we got these people like ADOS talk about this, you know, Black people invented rock and roll. What's the sense of that? Are we making the money off country? Are we making the money off of hip hop, with gospel and everything? No, it's white people that's making the money off of that. Change a certain life, get over it. Okay, change a certain it goes change to the point where you have nothing really left in America that we control. But yeah, you keep telling us about America all the time. You know, we did that.
Yes, Khalo. Absolutely, brother. And I appreciate your input, John. Let's roll the video so you can analyze more points, because this is a wild video, very disrespectful. So Khalo, defend Pan-Africanism.
I'm not saying that Africa's not pretty. I'm not saying Africa's not beautiful. I haven't said that Africans aren't our brothers or we're not African, in part at least. But I am saying what Booker T. Washington said, cast down your motherfucking buckets where you are. I get something here. Africans are coming here and becoming rich. Africans will sell and abuse one another to come here. And when they hear about people coming to Africa, a lot of them laugh. Why are they laughing? It isn't that Africa's not rich. It isn't that Africa doesn't have resources, but you got tribalism in Africa. Africans that will fucking kill you if they think you're in a group of people that they hate without knowing who you are. Have you really been to Africa off of the tourist routes, away from your handlers that want you to invest, liar Pan-Africanists? Have you ever walked the streets in Africa by yourself and people not know where you're from and presume you're in one group or the other? First time I went to Africa as a teenager, I got lost. And the people did not like me, some of them. Nope, they didn't think I was from America. They thought I was in a tribe of people that they don't like. So they wouldn't help me. Screw you. Screw you and your people. I mean, that's what happened in 1983. Wow, 40 years ago. 40 years ago in July, I was in Senegal and I was in Niger in June 40 years ago. And I was in Niger and the people don't know me. I don't know you. We don't like your people. Screw you. There is no perfect place. There's no utopia for Black people. Utopia is where we make it. Utopia is where we're willing to shed blood, sweat, and tears to have sanctuary, like they did in Maroon communities. That's when you have something.
Yes, my good brother Khalo, break that down.
Well, see, he says that he was there in Senegal. He probably went to an area where there was Muslim. Then he went to Niger, right? Niger people are not really into the modern world and everything like that. Now, if he would have said, I went to, let's say, Lagos, Accra, and stuff like that, and that happened, I would say something like that. But he went to Senegal, and I really doubt that people hated him, because that's the first time I ever heard that. Africans are the most welcoming, warm people I've ever seen in my life. You know, so this idea that Africans hate us, everything. The guy has a problem with Africa because he's been so brainwashed and tethered to America. But we'll ask him, you know something right now, what's going on, Bomani? They said there's about a few dozen Black truckers who are missing right now that have driven through warned not to go to sundown towns and everything, that are missing. People are still coming up missing in Black America. And I'm not saying everything in America is dangerous, whatever like that. But the bottom line is, try going to O Block in Chicago. Try going to some parts of Detroit and whatnot, you know, and you don't know anybody there. Try to go to some parts in Miami, you know, and St. Louis. You get jacked all the time. Black people getting shot, killed every day, you know. When's the last time you hear a Black person from America getting killed in Africa? Never. You know, so the bottom line, this guy is lying, you know. He acts like Black America, what Americans are perfect.
Black Americans have been killed in Africa. Not at the lot.
Yeah, the Bianca situation, yes, you know. But I'm talking about on the level every day. I could turn on my app right now. There's at least probably 4 or 5 people that got shot in my area that I live in right now within the past 2 days. You know, one couple got shot in last week in a Wendy's drive-through.
Well, the police just killed a 43-year-old man 3 blocks from downtown and 5 blocks from the city county jail Thursday last week, while Michael Brown Sr.'s father was in town speaking the next day at a church. Anyway, continue.
So they make up this stuff and whatnot. It's like, yo, look, no one's saying that you got to go to the continent, right? But what I'm saying is, if somebody has the means, you know, like, let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? It's going to be hard to retire in America because of the cost of living, right? You got a lot of Americans, white Americans, everybody. You know how many white Americans who are buying homes and property in Mexico because it's cheaper? They're going south the border. They said we got Mexico, like, we got a lot of illegal Americans living over here. And Black people too. I had this one video, was one Black lady said, "On my fixed income, I live like a queen over here in Mexico." She goes, "I go down here, get a taco, whatever, and I'm living good." You got a lot of Black people and white people who go to places like Belize. You got a lot of Filipinos I know, right? They retire and they go to the Philippines because it's cheaper. They save the money and the money stretches in the Philippines. You can live like a king on a retirement or 401k in the Philippines. So Africa is just another option of people who got money and means to retire and want to, do more things and spend their money on rent and everything, not have anything. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with somebody basically having money to invest or have an idea or construction company or whatever, and he puts a bid on a contract to do some work, lay fiber optic like we was trying to do in Angola, and get a contract that he's living in the continent, making money and everything like that. So you shouldn't take opportunity, if you have the opportunity to do it. These people are delusional, So in other words, basically the only place a black person, and also white people in America, white Americans are all over the globe. You have white Americans in countries that don't like them. What's the only white Americans doing in Russia? I thought Russia don't like them. You got white Americans in the Philippines. You got all over the world and whatnot, But the only group of people that basically say, I notice how this guy, Randy Short, has never said anything about even larger number. There's more black people, black men in America that go to Colombia and live in Dominican Republic than they do Africa. But he doesn't have a problem with that. What is it about Africa that they have a problem with? What is it about Africa they got a problem with? That's what I would like to know. If you got black people, you got so many black men in America that live in the Philippines right now, got Filipino wives and girlfriends, everything. You got them now in places like Vietnam and everything like that, even Japan and everything. You got a growing number of black community that live in Australia. Nobody says anything. What is it about Africa that people like him have a problem with?
Is it my time to comment now?
Yeah,
go to the next thing. We started, I didn't know how this would go, but he mentioned Liberia, and that's why I asked a straightforward question, because I want to move on and discuss some other possibilities, including the Caribbean. I did mention that I personally know the head of the indigenous government of Turks and Caicos Islands. That's not the only place that can go independent of the crown very soon. Jamaica has flag independence, but they still have a governor appointed by King Charles. It's not truly independent, unlike Trinidad, who kicked them out and declared independence in 1976. And now, since January 1st this year, Barbados, with our beautiful woman prime minister who's not taking any shit from anybody in the UN or anywhere for that matter, with the backing of billionaires Rihanna, helped them out. They went independent. So if a place like that, Turks and Caicos, for example, is accommodating to us and you can spend your money or invest your money dollar for dollar. It's the only place in the world where the dollar is official currency and it's not within the jurisdiction of the United States as we speak. They have a local thing called the Crown, which I used to make money off by going to a coin shop in Miami and buy like $200 worth of crowns for $40 and then go deposit them in my bank like they're dollar for dollar and make $160 on the trip just on that. You can still do that probably. But anyway, we don't have to look all the way over there when you can have a private plane and just fly from anywhere in continental United States straight to Turks and Caicos or any other island in the Caribbean that's accommodating to us. And it would be our country if, most of those islands like Turks and Caicos, there's only, 40,000 people that are Turks and Caicos Islanders, and most of them live in the Bahamas or other places. My point about Liberia that I didn't get to because we spent 45 minutes talking about almost nothing was, look, they need help. If they have an accommodating president and a National Assembly that thinks somewhat like us, they want to build that nation, it could be easily done. If they just give us a passport or sell us the passport, and we never go there. What if they sold the passport for $1,000 without residency or $100 with residency? If 5 million Black Americans bought the passport, what's 5 million times $1,000. Would they have to go to the World Bank with that money? And we never even go there. Already they register their ships all over the world with a Liberian flag. They don't even go. The ships don't go over to Liberia and be inspected. They farmed it out to a private entity for over 100 and some years now. And it makes most of the foreign exchange for the government, just registering flag ships so they don't pay taxes when they dock in all these other countries like the United States or Britain or wherever they go. So if they're issuing, tankers worth billions of dollars of cargo they carry every year, then why don't they just issue us a passport for $150, $200 or $1,000? Couldn't they use the money? They better wake up, because we don't have to go to Liberia. Khalo, you know that. But that's the easiest one to work with, because the law favors us because we founded the country. So back on point. If we have another entity in the Caribbean that thinks like us, why not? We have our dual passports, and you have somewhere to get out of Dodge.
I'm
by
all
boat,
friend
by boat or by plane or whatever.
David Hitt,
our planes with our own airline, with our own engineers, like the brothers co-hosting this, Bomani. You understand? And eventually take over a company or make an aircraft company from scratch. I mean, we made all the components for the cars. We can fly planes. We've been doing it for better than everybody else. Before the Tuskegee Airmen in Africa, nobody's better than us once we put our time into it. We got the brains. I don't care where we're from. You go over there and get on an African airline, they know how to fly. I said fly, not put it on autopilot like most of the white guys do. Okay? Ethiopian Airlines was founded by a brother from Mississippi who was head of the Imperial Air Force for Ethiopia because nobody else would help him. He only had 12 planes and he fought off the Italians. They ended up with Eritrea only, but they didn't capitulate the heart of Ethiopia. Thanks to our brother who founded the Tuskegee Airmen program in 1935, after he got back. We've had these links everywhere, but most of us don't know this history and how much we've been into it. My father's first cousin was a Tuskegee Airman pursuit pilot, flight class of October 1st, 1943. He was dead on D-Day, shot by friendly fire. After he tried to eject, the white boys had set up the chute where it wouldn't fully open, got strapped next to the damn plane goes down, he survived. They shot him friendly fire, killed him. He's buried in Nashville, Tennessee. They keep effing with the top Negroes, the top dogs, Chappie James and everybody throughout history, but we're still the best. We know that. If they would just leave us alone, we'd be fine. Black Wall Street, North Tulsa, Gap Band is from. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. That's what it stands for. The first 40 acres for Black Wall Street in Tulsa, North Tulsa, was bought by a man named O.W. Gurley from Huntsville, Alabama, my hometown, my homeboy. He's the one that founded it. Okay, so, once we know all this, my point is, where do we start? And Khalo, I wish you well, brother. We got some more details to get.
Yeah, I'm all for
move on
overseas and everything like that. My friend David Hitt, I think you know him. He's in Virgin Islands right now. He's saying, Khalo, is getting me acclimated to the continent.
U.S. Virgin Islands or British Virgin Islands?
U.S. Virgin Islands. He's in U.S. Virgin Islands. He got a house out there. We be on FaceTime one night. We show him the view. He said you can only get here by boat and whatnot, And so he's doing really well,
Does Virgin Islands want to create their own country, or at least to become a state and have representation in the U.S. Congress, taxation without representation, like District of Columbia right now, or he just wants to chill?
Like what he's doing is basically like, because the terrain is so like Africa, he just showing me like the stuff like that. He says, this is give me a vision of what we could build on the continent, because it's like really tropical and everything like that. He's basically showing me all the terrain and stuff like that, and he's been there for 2 years now. And so he's basically...
He's been where for 2 years?
The U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, he moved from the U.S. to the U.S. Virgin Islands?
You know
Not Virgin
David
Islander.
Hitt, don't you? You know David Hitt, don't you?
No, just answer. I don't know. Is he Black American from the
Yeah,
United States, or is he Virgin Islander Black American?
he's the one who started the African American Nation. It's the National African American Caucus. You talked with him before.
Okay, but he wanted a country in Africa too.
Yeah, he says ultimately, he says ultimately that's what he wants. But he says he's getting acclimated to like what he got because he talks to the police there, the government officials and everything like that. He's getting
where police where?
The Virgin Islands.
Okay, he's not from there, but he moved there.
No, he's from New York originally.
Okay. Well, you know, the U.S. military Marines went and took that with the help of the Rockefeller family. Am I correct? That's why it's the Virgin Islands today.
I'll be honest with you, I never studied the history of the Virgin Islands.
You need to. There's a brother in my hometown from there. Him and his sister went to Fisk and Meharry, and they know all the history down there, and they decided to stay up here, you know, because there's taxation without representation, and you can't vote for president out of the Virgin Islands right now. You know that, right? They have a non-voting delegate in the House of Reps.
He was there basically just getting the lay of the land and seeing, because they talk down there, there's talk about them becoming a country and stuff like that. There's a lot of talk, you know.
Well, talk is cheap. They're in a position to do it, but they're not demanding it legitimately.
Yeah.
When Trump went and said, I met with the president of the Virgin Islands, and Trump was the president of the Virgin Islands. I mean, you know, when the president of this country doesn't know that he's the president of the Virgin Islands or anywhere for that matter, we got big problems. Anyway, go on, Khalo.
No, so basically, like I said, my whole thing is the only reason why I'm taking these baby steps with Liberia is because there's still a lot that Samuel Doe mentality, even though it's dying right now, right? It's dying. You know, the younger Liberians are realizing Pan-Africanism and connecting with the diaspora is a part of Liberia's heritage, right? They're not just indigenous people; they're also people from the West, Jamaicans, Caribbeans, Black Americans, everything like that. And then now just embracing that heritage, right? Hopefully, it's not too late. You know,
Khalo,
so
I would hope. I mean, if just one of those so-called presidential candidates or parties has as a platform that they want to do this thing right, you know how much support they would get? George Wade wouldn't be able to match it. But anyway, you've been talking, but we ain't got nobody running for our cause. I rest my case.
Well, I told you Cummings, but they can't do this publicly. Under the scene, they're like this. The guy Bokai, I haven't heard nothing from him, but I will say this about Ware. His brother is what's his name? Bomani Duncan. What's his name? His brother-in-law is the head of the UNIA out of New York. His brother-in-law, and it's somebody that Bomani knows. And my brother, Great African, Sia, you know, he's partnered with him. They're doing a tour too to Liberia, you know. And my brother, Sia, Great African, has farms with us. So now the UNIA chapter of New York is getting involved with Liberia. Now, that's the brother of George Wade. That's the brother of George Wade's wife. But the thing is, though, whether he can actually get George Wade to understand the importance of this or whatnot, because you understand somehow a lot of them think George Wade is not educated. He don't know the issue. That whole thing about the year return, that was a grassroots movement that took off. And then he said, okay, he looked good at it. He hosted all these people from all over the world celebrating the landing of the Elizabeth in 1822 to Providence Island. You know, when I was in Liberia back in March, I went to Providence Island. Ross and I and a tour guide went to Providence Island and was looking at some of the event things they had there and whatnot, the makeshift boat they had of the Elizabeth there, still there, and stuff like that. I was there back in March. And so, but the thing is, though, it brought a lot of money to the country. You know, it was a year-long festival when they had different artists come there, selling out the stadium, everything. Everybody's selling the return. Now, going beyond that, right? You know, we're working with the Liberian Tourism Association, you know, and that's why Bomani and what we're doing is so important, because what they want to do is showcase Liberia as also a place of tourism. Now things that Liberia does not have is, like I said, they got to get better air routes. They got to get better. So it's a country struggling. But I'm saying is this: it might not be the perfect country for Black people in America, but as far as a country that's going to mirror what we're trying to do and everything like that, Liberia is a good country. It's not the best, but it's a good country to start with. In my opinion.
Okay, well, they can start by accommodating us legally. If they really want us, they should accommodate us who founded the country. It is our country. It's not their country alone. Okay?
Oh, yeah, we know that.
And all they have to do, Khalo, is say, yes, all you Black Americans from Canada to Chile, the tip of Chile, can come or not come. Okay? Just as a gesture, give us the passport for a charge. They would instantly raise a lot of money and not have to go borrow money from World Bank or whoever. Do you agree?
I agree.
As much as they don't like us, that's all they have to do, Khalo. So let's cut the crap. I want my goddamn passport or I ain't coming. All right? We could go and open up an embassy in every goddamn city or state in the United States with that money and start a real bank with that money. So let's get Blackonomic goddamn serious and cut the crap. I rest my case.
Yeah, I mean, if it was that easy, John, man, I think it'll be done already. But you gotta say something.
Okay, how much does it cost to register a 200-ton tanker, oil tanker? Find out that price. The passport has got to be cheaper. Thank you.
Well, I do know if you want to register a corporation and own property and stuff like that. Right now is me. I got my corporation registered at a local price because I have Liberian partners. But if I was just by myself, right, I would have to pay triple the price of a registered corporation. Now I could basically, my corporation, I could hold property and I could put property and assets in the corporate name, which I'm going to do. But
Khalo, if you have the passport, you don't even have to work with those people. I've been through this before in Nigeria and other places. Okay, let's cut the goddamn crap. If you want us to come, give us the passport. Show you want us. If you don't want us, tell us you don't want us. Make it clear. And any president that leans this direction or presidential candidate will get our support. Now it's up to them to do it. If they don't reach out, we can go elsewhere.
That will
eventually my case again. We're not talking about eventually. We're talking about right now in 2023. After 200 years, after 200 years of us founding the country, we gave them the country and gave them that freedom in 1847 to reach out to us. They should go back and read their own goddamn history books and be serious with us, not just you, Khalo. Thank you.
I mean, you make a compelling argument. I heard this argument before. I'm not going to argue with you.
It's not an argument. It's a damn fact.
I've heard this argument before.
Tell them quit going against the grains of history. It was founded by us for all of us, but we're the ones that got it founded. And it's independent to this day. Manipulated, fucked up, Redstone, Firestone, is in there owning the largest rubber plantations. The second largest owner family was Allen, Cyril Allen. Do you know him?
What
you ever heard of Cyril Allen? Every Liberian knows who Cyril Allen is. Ask him about him.
Maybe I know him by a different name.
I knew him personally. The war really messed him up. He was a whole different guy before the war. Okay. But everybody in Liberia.
Probably before my time. I do know the Tolberts. Stephen Tolbert, his father founded the Maserati Group and Company which he opened up a branch in Lagos, Nigeria. He sold it to the first Nigerian millionaire because he pulled out during the Biafra War. People don't know that history. Stephen Alvin Tolbert, Richard Tolbert died in a mysterious plane crash in thing. He had fleets of fishing boats. He had manufacturing plants. We played the video Wealth of Liberia all the time. And urge you to watch that video made in 1974. Liberia was becoming an industrial powerhouse.
Cyril Allen's grandfather is an Igbo Nigerian. His father was born there and he was born there. I know a lot about these people. They're our people. But they got to reach out to us and cut the crap. And you need to cut the crap too. You need to have your legal shit together before you come on and not know the answers to these questions, so everybody listening can move forward. I only asked you one straight question, and it took 45 minutes to say you don't know the answer.
At this point in time,
get your shit together, Khalo.
At this point in time in history, right? I cannot push that issue.
Don't push it. Just announce the rules, and we will learn how to play the game with the rules. But we don't know the rules.
You know?
We don't have to go to Liberia, Khalo. We don't have to go there.
But how are you going to get a passport?
I did not go, Khalo.
You have to have a law passed. It has to be.
No, there's a law in place. Announce it. Then we know what law has to go to. Announce it on your website. Cut the crap, Khalo. Announce it on your website.
John, you're getting emotional. You know, calm down. You know.
You damn right I am, Khalo. The bullshit us. Especially me. Don't try it. Announce it. All right, then put it on your website.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you how the situation.
Tell me.
Right now it is.
Get it from the embassy and post it on your website.
Situation right how it is. You know.
We know how it is. You don't have to tell me.
You know.
We're telling you, Dynast and us. We're telling you what the law is. You're supposed to be in the forefront.
Dynast wants to believe that he can go
Not
right
to believe. What does the law say at the embassy?
If he wants to believe the ECOWAS,
we're not talking about belief anymore. Post it.
ECOWAS passport really has
I'm resting my case on this subject. Post it, or you're not serious, Khalo. Post it.
I'm just going by what I'm doing. Now, if somebody else has another way,
then talk to yourself,
Khalo. If somebody else has another way,
talk to yourself. We're talking to at least 25 people right now.
If they think
they
think they can do it better than I can, I have and build better team than I have on the ground in Liberia. Hey, go right ahead. Now sit back and watch.
Khalo, all we have to do is go to the embassy and find this out. We don't need you, brother. If we're going to work with you, give us the information.
Conversations with Liberians for decades now. This ain't something new. You're not telling me anything new.
I know I'm not. I lived there. You haven't.
You know
I've lived on the continent. 3 decades. You haven't lived there yet. What?
You have not lived in Liberia.
No, I chose not to. But I was an ECOWAS citizen. I could have.
Imagine if you would have spent
within 2 years of me landing on the continent, they broke out with that war.
For those years in Liberia, whatnot. Imagine where we'd be right now.
Imagine if the CIA would have left us the fuck alone and not brought Samuel Doe in.
You can't change history.
Correct. Now let's go back to 1979 laws and start from there, rather than wishy-washy where we are now, because the world ain't got time for that no more.
Well, the bottom line is, I'm just dealing with the hand we're dealt with right now. That's what I'm dealing with.
As I said, post the laws, and we know what hand is.
And I'm telling you right now, the hand.
I don't want to hear it from you. I want you to cite the law and post it on your website.
Right now is the fact that we have to play this hand until we have a government in there that understands what we're talking about. Right now, we are. Sirleaf, let me give you examples. Sirleaf, right? They asked Sirleaf.
We don't have to go to Liberia. We're talking about everywhere. Only you are talking about Liberia. I haven't heard anybody else say it.
Look, I'm talking about Liberia, right? This is what we're talking about. That's me, my passion. Now, if somebody else has another country, like some people say have Ghana, some people have Sierra Leone, some people have Senegal.
Sierra Leone is much more accommodating to us.
Well, yeah, that's
more. And we didn't even found the place. Some of us that went to Canada did.
If people find Sierra Leone more accommodating and everything like that, because it's still part of the British, but the idea of that being part of a country that our ancestors built and founded, isn't that more of a prize?
Yes, it is, but they better reach out to us if they want us to come.
What you have to do is this, right? You have to have enough of us on the ground making this friggin' argument. You can't do it.
Forget that. Do they want some money from us? Issue us the passport. We don't even need to go there.
If you come there with money to invest, there you can do whatever you want to do. You know,
of course you can. Of
like
course
that,
you
you
can.
can-
Money walks and bullshit talks, right?
Yeah, so Liberians
Yeah, I
understand.
know that.
You come there with money and whatnot, you can have whatever you want to have. Hell,
Yeah,
they'll
but
give,
where's
they'll
the
give you,
passport?
they'll give you
Where's
the
the
oldest
passport?
mansion, John, if you
Where's
really
the
want.
passport?
You know.
I want the passport up front.
You know what I'm saying? So, well, your line in the sand is a passport.
Yeah, that's
There's
me.
so many
Anybody
black-
else has their own
there's so many
standards.
black people in America that are living in Liberia, opening business, doing well. They don't got passports.
Fine, if that's what they want to do.
So
But
I know.
Liberia is not the only place on the planet.
And so,
Don't
but
forget that.
if just having a passport is your thing, man. People like this, man. You know.
No, I know. Look, I was over there long enough to know better. If you have the passport, you can do it all alone and have your own self-determination, and you have the sovereignty.
Well, yeah.
And that's the best place to work from.
Well,
I know better.
let me say this, right? Let me say this. You know, without being interrupted, right? Now, when to be perfectly honest with you, right? You know, I have partners of mine. I'll tell them Bomani about this the other day. I said, look, I have a partner, my partner in Liberia, right? You know, I could probably when he has a lot of land, he has rubber farms, he has all the stuff like this, right? But because of his background, you know, his ancestors were part of the founding of the country and everything like that. His father built S.J. Cooper Road outside of off of Tubman Boulevard in Syncor, right? S.J. Cooper Road. And he has a couple of buildings, which he's going to lease to me. And so he has a lot.
His family had Liberian citizenship. That's
Okay, but he's in Liberia.
When we went there and founded the country, did we have to have a passport to go?
Well, this is what I'm. Did you hear what I said an hour ago?
Did we have to have a passport to go when we founded the country?
John,
all the Americo-Liberians that are there, none of them.
You didn't listen to what
none
I was
of them did without it. They issued it to
I
themselves.
told you an hour ago, right?
They issued it to themselves, Kala.
We went to Liberia. We didn't need a passport.
That's my point. That is exactly my point.
Right. But the things change now.
Give us the passport.
Look, now, you can still go to Liberia or whatnot, but now they're like
that.
Status and all stuff like this. It's a different country now.
Whatever. What's the law? Post it.
Yeah, the law is, they talk about Liberianization. And also the idea of, listen to what I'm talking about, right? Since the 1970s, right? There's been this idea of Liberia is a place of Negro refuge.
Kala, right? You don't have to tell me that. Just post it. Let's move on, Bomani, to the next subject.
Right? They start talking about this.
Bomani, be sure y'all get it posted. And there's another conversation on this subject. That's all I got to say.
No such people called Liberian until the 1970s. Then they went through a Liberianization process and identity, which was controversial at the time. This like anybody could come here that's black. But then Liberians said, hey, look, and Tolbert was behind that too, we got to have Liberianization, who's a Liberian, who's not. And they put that in the law. They became a national, identified as a national. And that's what's caused a lot of problems, what you see in Liberia right now. Who's a Liberian?
Divide and conquer. Correct. So cut the crap.
Like I said, I don't have any power over that.
I know you don't, and you don't care to have it either. Thank you.
Well,
Next subject.
If I did
Next
one,
subject.
I can do it.